Chapter 331. Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage each had tens of millions of Weibo fans, and each Weibo post had at least tens of thousands of reposts and tens of thousands of replies. But although the two women usually ate and lived together, their spontaneous Weibo content was always different. Only this time, the two of them reposted the same video almost at the same time, and each sent an irreconcilable accompanying text, which was instantly pushed to countless fans' Weibo. Jin Shuiwei, this is my idol. I've never seen anyone sharpening a pencil like this. Everyone quickly go and take a look. Please repost, please spread. Jiang Yage, at first, when he asked me to repost this Weibo post, I refused until I watched the video first. Just now, my assistant asked me why I was kneeling on the ground playing with my phone, and now she is kneeling beside me. Wait, why is Sister Shuiwei kneeling out of the room? The two different accompanying texts, coupled with Chen Guang's dazzling pencil sharpening skills, the combination of the two instantly produced a chemical reaction, and the final result was an instant explosion. But there was something strange. Why was there nothing under this all-around Superman's Weibo? There was no verification, and even the replies were closed. The entire Weibo only had this video, like a zombie account that was temporarily registered. But Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage both paid attention to this zombie account at the same time. Who was this mysterious guy? After the instant explosion, more and more possibilities were speculated in the hearts of the people, causing Chen Guang's video to sweep the internet in an extremely short period of time. More people spontaneously joined the discussion. At first, it was because of the attention attracted by Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage's repost, but gradually, people were divided into two factions. One faction thought that it was impossible, and it was definitely special effects, while the other faction thought that the video was completely real, and this all-around Superman guy could really do it. Soon, the technical party among the folk experts jumped out, and from a professional point of view, they analyzed Chen Guang's video frame by frame, verifying the second faction's view. The video was completely real. Even if it looked like a movie, it was real. The technical party came to a conclusion, but it didn't stop the debate. More people jumped out, accusing the technical party of boasting that they were folk experts, but in fact, they were paid 50 cents. This infuriated the technocrats, and another wave of debate broke out. But no matter what, if there was a debate, there would be a topic, and if there was a topic, there would naturally be popularity. This time, it was even more incredible. More and more people spontaneously joined the repost party and became free water users. At first, these topics stayed under Jin Zhang's Weibo, but gradually, other big accounts joined in the ranks of reposting and commenting on the video. Perhaps they were doing this for the sake of the two young big shots on their left and right hands, or perhaps Chen Guang's video really got them excited. These internet celebrities also had their own fans. Under these people's Weibo posts, there were countless comments and reposts. There were also discussions among friends on Weibo, which was not a big V, but a small circle. As a result, Chen Guang's video went viral. It really went viral. Like a wildfire, it swept through the entire Weibo circle in just over 2 hours. Life was so unpredictable. How could Chen Guang have thought that his sudden idea would cause such a sensation on the internet? The birth of an internet celebrity had a lot of coincidences in it. Jin Zhang's repost was the trigger, and the content of the video was the skeleton that supported it to become popular. The coincidences and accidents in the instant that it became popular became its wings. Perhaps it was because his V-shaped special agent mask added a lot of mystery to the video, and the complete closure of the comments made him seem even more unique. Or perhaps it was because of the debate between the technical party and the skeptic party that made the video even more popular. It was probably very difficult to find a reason. In short, his video went viral. It completely went viral in just over 2 hours. And it was obvious that it would continue to go viral. Because the topic of the strongest pencil sharpener in history directly broke into Weibo's hot search list at lightning speed, and began to spontaneously appear in front of more people. It could be foreseen that in the next 2 days, unless another hot topic that was enough to attract everyone's attention popped up, no one could stop this video from being constantly reposted and spread. From the time Chen Guang uploaded the video to the time he arrived at Wujing City Hospital, the first video he uploaded under the name Almighty Superman went from being unknown to being famous all over the country. His Weibo fans also shot up from the initial 1,000 or so like a rocket. 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. When he arrived outside his mother's ward, the number of Almighty Superman's fans had forcibly exceeded 500,000, and it was still rising. At this level, he could really achieve the idea that he had by chance but had not been able to put into practice. 500,000 followers, and all of them were living people. He could indeed accept advertisements. This was something that many operating accounts might not be able to do even if they worked for half a year. But he only used 2 hours, and he didn't even realize it. Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage were also quite busy. After helping Chen Guang forward the video, they went to work. Otherwise, they would have called Chen Guang. When he arrived at the ward, Zhu Zhifa had already chatted with Chen Guoli and Feng Rong for about 10 minutes. Chen Guoli's work at Old Zhou's hot pot restaurant in the county had been taken over by Zhu Zhifa's retired father. The two families were old friends. When Zhu Zhifa's family's printing factory was in trouble in the early years, the Chen family had helped a lot. Zhu Zhifa was basically equivalent to the nephew of Chen Guoli and his parents. Seeing that Chen Guang had come, Zhu Zhifa put on the attitude of a big brother. Don't you know that you should spend more time with Uncle Chen and Aunt Feng? Why are you still in school when the school is on holiday? Chen Guang rolled his eyes. He thought to himself, what do you know? I've been working like a dog recently. I only have a little rest these 2 days, okay? Chen Guoli patted Zhu Zhifa. Xiao Fa, don't scold Xiao Guang. He's been worrying so much about us that his body is about to collapse. You two brothers, when you get back, save whatever nourishing things you can for him. Wait, Dad, what you said doesn't sound right to me. Chen Guang was too lazy to respond to Zhu Zhifa. This bastard was always acting like a big brother just because he was 3 years older than him. Boss Zhu, you're so busy every day. Why did you come to the 5 capital? Can you not call me Boss Zhu? Zhu Zhifa's balls were hurting. He turned to the little beautiful secretary beside him and said, Hu Ling, I've told you many times not to call me Boss Zhu. Now this guy has something on you, right? The two brothers hadn't seen each other for a long time, and it was quite lively as they bantered with each other. Chapter 332. When it was time to eat, he originally planned to ask Chen Guoli to go out to eat together. However, the old man said that he could not leave this place, so he did not want to go with the youngsters and let them make their own arrangements. By the way, what are you doing here this time? How much does it cost to get the whole car? It's quite comfortable to sit here. Chen Guang sat in the passenger seat of Zhu Zhifa's BMW 525 and asked casually. Zhu Zhifa was not very familiar with the road conditions in Wujing. He was very nervous when he drove, afraid that he would violate the rules. He was even more afraid that the roads in Wujing were dominated by taxis. If he were to slip and fall, it would be very distressing. He was not in the mood to explain to Chen Guang at all. He stared straight ahead. Don't ask about adult matters. Don't disturb me while I'm driving. Chen Guang was instantly enraged. *CK. What do you mean adult matters? Although I'm a university student who has not graduated, I already have a net worth of 200 million. If you piss me off, I'll buy your factory and let you watch the gate. Perhaps he realized that his words might be too aggressive, so Zhu Zhifa added, by the way, I haven't asked Auntie Feng how much this surgery will cost. I heard that a kidney transplant will cost about 500 to 600,000, right? I really couldn't help much before. The factory needs to support people and there isn't much cash available. Fortunately, your family found a way to borrow money, but it's not good to always owe others. After I settle this matter, in less than half a year, I'll help you repay the money first. You're going to graduate soon, so don't go to the sports car. Study hard and don't fail too many subjects. If you fail too many subjects, you won't even be able to get your graduation certificate. He said such a long paragraph in one breath. He was so nervous that cold sweat was coming out of his temples. He was really focused while driving. Chen Guang's anger immediately dissipated. He did not expect Zhu Jifa to pay for the transplant. He knew his difficulties. Don't be fooled by the fact that he was tinkering with a printing factory. In fact, it was not easy to run a business these days. There were so many people, big and small, and the profits of the printing industry were already very low. A large factory could only move a few tens of thousands of working capital. However, the first thing he wanted to do now was to help him pay off the debt of 5 or 600,000 yuan after he earned the money. Qin Guang was touched. Everyone knew that if it was a loan of 5 or 600,000 yuan, it would take an ordinary family a year or two to repay it. This trader's son was a good person, but his mouth was cheap. Chen Guang knew that Zhu Jifa had always been like this, but he couldn't stand his big brother attitude. Don't talk so much. Look at how nervous you are. Why don't you move aside and let me drive? The racing god of this generation, the invincible man that everyone looks up to, is personally driving for you. Are you honored? Zhu Jifa ignored Qin Guang. Shut up. It's not enough that you drove my Rena to that state, and now you want to harm my BMW 5? Don't even think about it. I'll King kill you if I die. It's going to cost more than 400,000 yuan. I bought this car with a mortgage loan to keep up appearances. So far, I have 0 failures. Don't let me be the first. Alright. Just focus on driving. Chen Guang rolled his eyes. He was on the verge of collapsing from Su Tao's actions. The three of them drove around for about 10 minutes. Zhu Jifa first parked the car in the parking lot of the chain hotel where he stayed, then invited them to sit in the Sichuan restaurant next door. Seeing that he wasn't interested in talking about why he came to Wujing, Qin Guang didn't ask anymore. He was afraid that this trader would talk about adult matters again. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to control his restless arm and give him a slap in the face. Chen Guang's attention shifted to the other side. When they were waiting for the dishes to be served, Hu Ling went to the toilet. She pulled Zhu Jifa's shoulder and smiled wickedly. The two of you have an affair. Don't talk nonsense. Zhu Jifa shook his head violently. When you parked the car at the hotel just now, Hu Ling said that she went upstairs to put her bag. The room card was taken out of your pocket and given to her. The two of you only got one room. Chen Guang continued to smile wickedly. Zhu Jifa gasped and started to panic. *CK. Keep this matter to yourself. If Lu Xiaohong finds out, I'm dead meat. Chen Guang looked at his panicking face and felt pity for him. You're quite bold. You have Lu Xiaohong at home, and you still dare to keep a little secretary by your side. Aren't you afraid that something will happen? Zhu Jifa sighed. Of course I'm afraid. That's why I asked Hu Ling to wait on the road in the name of a business trip 2 days earlier. I only picked her up today. Are you tired of living? Qin Guang asked. Zhu Jifa nodded, then shook his head. Isn't it because I'm tired of living that I need someone to share my burden? Otherwise, I'm going to suffer from depression. Chen Guang understood his feelings. Lu Xiaohong was famous for being unreasonable. She had a bad temper and was a standard shrew. She looked rough and unlikable, but her father was the county's industry and commerce bureau chief. He just had to fall in love with Zhu Jifa, who was 3 years younger than him. Even though the poor Xiao Zhu was disgusted, he still pinched his nose and married her a year ago. He thought that he could use her family's connections to get some benefits. Never did he expect that the one who married him would be a tigress. Zhu Jifa's life had been tough for the past year. He needed a gentle and considerate girl to barely save his collapsing life. Alright, it's good that you know about this. If Lu Xiaohong comes to ask you about it, help me lay the groundwork. As Zhu Jifa spoke, he took out his wallet and shook out a stack of red notes. It looked to be about 2,000 to 3,000 yuan. He stuffed it into Qin Guang's hands. Here, take the hush money. Chen Guang slapped the money back. If it was him in the past, he would have accepted it without a second thought. But now, he really couldn't afford to lose face like this. He thought to himself that he might as well find an opportunity to show off his wealth in front of this guy. That way, this guy wouldn't think of him as a pauper. He would let this guy understand that a scholar who has been away for 3 days should be looked at in a new light. As the two of them were pushing and shoving each other, Hu Ling came back. What are you two doing? The two of them finally stopped. Zhu Jifa hurriedly explained, "Nothing, nothing." Hu Ling had been with Zhu Jifa for a long time. When she saw his expression, how could she not understand what was going on? She blushed and pinched Zhu Jifa's hand under the table. Chen Guang looked at the two of them being so lovey-dovey. How dare they show off their affection in front of me? I can call a girl to beat the crap out of you. Fortunately, the dishes on the table were gradually served. Zhu Jifa was the first to pick up his chopsticks. Let's eat, let's eat. Go back to school early after you're done eating. I have a tough battle to fight tomorrow. Chen Guang picked up some food with his chopsticks. Even though this restaurant did not look grand, the food was quite authentic. Oh right, Hu Ling, do you know how to drive? Hu Ling was puzzled. Yes, why? Chen Guang was amused. All right then. You can drive the Rena back this time. I don't need it. Chapter 333. Zhu Jifa threw away his chopsticks and asked, "Although I told you to stop driving, you're not used to not having a car, right? Just take it and drive, it's not a problem." Chen Guang chuckled, "No, I'm going to buy my own car. The Rena doesn't feel good when it's running, and it's terrible when it accelerates." Screw you, why are you complaining when you can drive it? I told you to come back and get a miting, but you said you didn't want it. Zhu Jifa's phone rang as he was speaking. I'm going to take this call. In less than 2 minutes, he walked back with a bitter face, looking at the table full of dishes that had just been served regretfully. What's wrong? Chen Guang saw that his expression was not right. Zhu Jifa sighed. The battle is ahead of schedule. Forget it, let's go somewhere else. The table full of dishes had not been touched. Everything happened so suddenly, so the three of them could only look at it regretfully before they left. It was a feast for their eyes. Because of that phone call, Zhu Jifa's mood suddenly became very complicated. Even when he was driving, he was a little distracted. If it wasn't for Chen Guang pulling the handbrake for him, this guy would have rear-ended someone. Left with no other choice, Chen Guang forcefully chased Zhu Jifa out of the driver's seat and took over the driver's seat. Chen Guang repeatedly expressed that he had been in the 5 capitals for half a year, and he's already an experienced driver. Only then did Zhu Jifa reluctantly give up his seat. However, as soon as he sat in the front passenger seat, his entire person was in the zone. His eyebrows were furrowed like a wet towel. What's making you so worried? Tell me, and see if I can help you think of a way. Chen Guang asked him, but he didn't answer. Hu Linggang called another expensive restaurant in Wujing City's hailing pavilion to change the time of a private room, and then mentioned it to Chen Guang. She said, I originally had an appointment with someone at Hailing Pavilion to discuss something tomorrow, but they said they had another appointment tomorrow, and asked me to change it to today. Originally, I planned to find out what that person likes and dislikes tomorrow morning, but now that I've been caught unprepared, Brother Fa is worried about whether or not we can settle the matter. Zhu Jifa, who was in front, finally said, It's okay. I don't have time to ask about other people's preferences. At most, I'll just give them money. Everyone likes money. Don't worry about Chen Guang later. Just focus on eating. You're going to graduate soon, so you should learn how to do business. Today is just the right time for you to see how I talk business. Chen Guang nodded and thought to himself, I don't know anything about business now, but I already have 200 million in my pocket, okay? It was about 4 or 5 kilometers from the hotel chain to the Hailing Pavilion, but there was a bit of a traffic jam. The three of them drove for about 40 minutes before they arrived. Originally, Zhu Jifa had booked a private room for tomorrow. Now that it was changed to today, there was almost no space left. He had no choice but to add another 5,000 yuan to the private room fee. In the end, the three of them sat in the private room for an hour. It was almost 8 o'clock, and their stomachs were growling with hunger. Only then did the person they had been waiting for finally arrive, saying that he had already arrived downstairs. The wait was too boring, so Chen Guang had to force Zhu Jifa to talk about it. Only then did he know why he had come to the 5 capital painting. Recently, the business of his family's printing factory had been quite good. They had received a lot of orders, and the current production line was too busy. Therefore, Zhu Jifa planned to create a production line with new technology. It could also be considered as making the business bigger and bigger. Unfortunately, if he wanted to achieve everything in one step, the production line with new technology that he had his eyes on was not cheap. He had to prepare at least tens of millions of yuan in total. It was not enough to rely on the circulating funds of the factory alone, so he thought of taking a loan. The last time he had asked someone to send Qin Guang's parents to the 5 capital painting, he had actually gone there in advance to get a feel of the situation. After all, he knew that now that the country was collecting loans, it was not as easy for private enterprises to get loans as it used to be. Last week, he had finally found the way to Dongchong Commercial Bank through an acquaintance. As the boss of the enterprise, he had hurriedly rushed over, planning to invite the president of the branch to have a meal together. At the dinner table, he would state the situation that needed to be shown, give the benefits that needed to be given, and settle the matter while he was at it. He had originally planned to make preparations with the acquaintance that he wanted to build a relationship with the next day, catered to their preferences, and prepared some valuable and high-class gifts. In the end, he did not expect the other party to do as he pleased, suddenly changing the date to today. At this time, the acquaintance could not come, and he had not prepared anything, so Zhu Jifa could only bite the bullet and do it himself. He did not know what this person had been doing before. This last-minute change of time, and he himself had arrived late, made Zhu Jifa, Qin Guang, and the other two extremely hungry. Qin Guang's face was sullen. He had not even entered the business world, and he had already suffered in the business world with Zhu Jifa. Qin Guang really could not hold it in. Isn't this person too unreasonable? It's fine if he changed the time, but he only arrived now. What did he say just now? 3 cars came? A dish in this lousy place would cost at least a few hundred. 3 cars for a dozen people, a meal would cost at least 10 to 20,000, and it would be even worse if they drank some wine. Does he think you're a sucker? Zhu Jifa sighed. Qin Guang, you've seen it, haven't you? Business is not easy, it's really not easy. Just like today, since he changed the time at the last minute, it means that he is actually not sincere. But I can only hope that he will make one last attempt, don't you think so? Later on, you better restrain yourself and don't care about anything else. Just keep your head down and eat your food. Don't spoil my plans. Qin Guang saw his nervous look. Although he did not take it seriously, he did not directly refute him. Seeing that he was very concerned about this matter, he was not in a hurry to show off his money. At the same time, he could also learn how to deal with people in this so-called business world. At this moment, Zhu Jifa's phone rang. The other party said that they had already arrived at the entrance of Hailing Pavilion and asked him to go down and pick them up. Following that, Qin Guang finally saw the true difficulty of doing business. Zhu Jifa and Hu Ling eagerly went out to pick them up. He sat down obediently and waited for the food to be served. Just as Zhu Jifa said, Qin Guang only planned to eat this meal with his stomach and ears. He only wanted to listen and eat, and did not care about anything else. In the end, Hu Ling came in with a red face. The atmosphere was a little off. Qin Guang wanted to ask what was wrong, but a group of people followed behind a fat man came in. Before the words left his mouth, he swallowed them first. Zhu Jifa was the last one. He looked like he was forcing a smile. There was some anger between his eyebrows, but he suppressed it. When the people in front of him turned around and greeted him, his face instantly turned into a humble and respectful smile. After entering the door and sitting down, Zhu Jifa first mentioned that Qin Guang was his younger brother. The fat man was President Ma of Dongchong Commercial Bank's Chaosian County branch. President Ma was not interested in Qin Guang at all. He did not even greet Qin Guang. He only waved his hand and signaled the 10 people behind him to sit down. Then he sat down on the main seat. Zhu Jifa and Hu Ling actually rushed to Qin Guang's side. Qin Guang felt that the atmosphere was not right. Chapter 334. All of a sudden, there were so many people, and they seemed to be President Ma's subordinates. Zhu Jifa didn't even have the chance to open his mouth on the table. Logically speaking, if he really wanted to talk, it wasn't impossible with so many people. President Ma just needed to give a signal, and Zhu Jifa would immediately follow him outside to talk. However, after the dishes were served, President Ma and his group were very lively. On the contrary, Zhu Zhifa, who was the host today, couldn't integrate into the atmosphere of this group of people. This feeling was very strange. Zhu Zhifa clearly wanted to talk to President Ma, so he booked a private room in this expensive hailing pavilion. In the end, President Ma didn't stand on ceremony. He pulled out a bunch of his subordinates, and the table became a lively gathering of his trusted subordinates. Zhu Zhifa didn't even have the chance to talk. Zhu Zhifa couldn't integrate, and President Ma didn't have the mood to care about his emotions. He sent a young man to sit beside Zhu Zhifa and pull him to drink. Zhu Zhifa stood up to propose a toast, so the other party impatiently squeezed out a smile that was not a smile. It could be said that he had gone overboard. On the other hand, Zhu Zhifa drank one cup after another. Less than 5 minutes into the meal, Chen Guang understood that there were some things that couldn't be said. After all, Brother Fa had been treated as a spendthrift today. This meal for more than 10 people, and they drank cup after cup of Maodai, at least 30 to 40,000 yuan was gone. The other party's large group chatted incessantly. Zhu Zhifa, Hu Ling, and Qin Guang, who were originally the hosts, became completely dispensable on the scene. They just needed to pay, and their faces were full of awkwardness. Chen Guang had probably heard of similar situations. Nowadays, the country was calling for clean government and simplicity. Eating and drinking at public expense couldn't be messed around. However, this meal had to be eaten, and he couldn't pay for it himself. What should he do? When he was greedy, or when he wanted to host some big receptions, he would find some local business bosses who had something to ask of him. They said that they would introduce you to them and help you pull some strings. In fact, they just wanted you to bring a bag of money. But if someone else were to do this, they would at least be meeting a big shot. If they let you fork out the money, it would really be a success. President Ma's table manners were exceptionally ugly. You're a leader who's treating your subordinate to a meal, yet you're tricking him into paying for it. Yet, you're not showing any sincerity or attitude when discussing matters. What the hell is this? He didn't even give them any face. Zhu Zhifa poured glass after glass of wine into the young man's mouth. The young man seemed to be a wine jar. He was also suffering, but he still forced a smile. Chen Guang was furious. He had finally experienced the difficulties of this business today. Only Zhu Zhifa could endure it. If it were him, he would definitely not be able to endure it. Although he was unhappy, he was not the one in charge today. Zhu Zhifa could still hold it in, and Chen Guang naturally could not stand up for him, nor was he in a position to do so. Finding an opportunity, Chen Guang turned his head and asked Hu Ling next to him, "You didn't look right when I came in. What's wrong?" Hu Ling shook her head in a slightly flustered manner. "No, nothing. Chen Guang, you're good. Don't worry about this." Chen Guang raised his eyebrows. "Did that damn fatty take advantage of you?" Hu Ling's face stiffened. She looked at Chen Guang again and thought about the relationship between the two brothers. Finally, she leaned over to Chen Guang's ear and whispered, "It's okay. Your brother has a favor to ask now. I can bear with this little loss. It's nothing if I can get it done." "What's wrong?" Chen Guang suppressed his anger. Hu Ling whispered, "When I first came up, President Ma slapped my butt. Don't do anything rash." "This scumbag." Chen Guang's face instantly darkened. Hu Ling was shocked by him and quickly pressed down on his leg. "Don't be rash. Don't cause trouble for your brother. I've already endured it. Don't ask about this. Just eat your food." After taking a few deep breaths, Chen Guang grinned at President Ma, who was looking at him curiously. He then turned his face to Hu Ling and said with a fake smile, "Fine. It's your business anyway. Anyway, I can't be a businessman. I'm not learning." He really couldn't do it. If doing business required him to suffer like this, he really couldn't do it. Even though Zhu Zhifa was dealing with a small printing factory and only wanted to borrow tens of thousands of yuan, he was only facing the president of a county-level branch of a commercial bank. With 200 million yuan in his hands, he might not need to be afraid of someone like President Ma when he entered the business world. However, there would definitely be bigger people waiting for him to curry favor with them. "I can't do this business. Anyway, I can't stand this." Chen Guang fiercely picked up a piece of dongpa pork knuckle and stuffed it into his mouth. This time, he didn't even want to wear his ears. After 3 rounds of drinking, Zhu Zhifa finally couldn't hold it in anymore. At this moment, President Ma seemed to have drunk enough. He got up and said that he needed to go to the toilet. Zhu Zhifa quickly followed him, thinking that this was an opportunity for him to talk. Seeing him like this, Chen Guang's heart was pounding. It was hard to be a human being, but it was even harder to be a businessman. He understood Zhu Zhifa's character. Zhu Zhifa was a hot-tempered person like him in the past, but now he had become like this. Perhaps he really needed money badly. It was not easy to find a relationship with President Ma. Even if the situation looked so bad now, he refused to give up this opportunity easily. After a while, the two of them returned. President Ma walked unsteadily in front while Zhu Zhifa looked helpless behind the door. President Ma, can we talk about this again? President Ma, who was pushing the door open, suddenly stopped in his tracks. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhu Zhifa coldly. Xiao Zhu, we can talk about this later. Let's talk about it another day. Everyone is having a good time today, so let's not talk about business. Zhu Zhifa's face stiffened. He was already cursing in his heart. I was only inviting you alone, but you brought more than 10 people and cost me tens of thousands. Now you are telling me that we are not going to talk about business? Why did I invite you here if we are not going to talk about business? But he forced a smile on his face. That's right. Eat well and drink well. Let's talk about it another day. When the two of them entered, everyone on the table stopped their cups and looked at them. Chen Guang had also heard their conversation and wanted to slam the table as well. However, when he saw that Zhu Zhifa had endured it, he felt that even if he had to endure it, he would continue to endure it. The two of them finally sat down. President Ma, who said he didn't want to talk about business, finally spoke again. He didn't try to hide anything. He said directly, Xiao Zhu, I actually understand your situation very well. But the printing factory is not a new industry. It is not wrong to say that it is a sunset industry. Now, the country does not have any plans to support it. In the first half of this year, our branch's business is also doing well. The loan quota is almost used up. This matter of yours is difficult to handle. She didn't expect him to say it out loud in front of so many people. His meaning was obvious. I want to eat and drink for free, what can you do about it? Chapter 335. Zhu Zhifa panicked and stood up. President Ma, this? President Ma impatiently pressed his hand down. Xiao Zhu, don't be anxious. I'll think of something later. Everything will go according to the proper procedures. As long as your company meets the lending standards, it's not impossible to talk about it. All right, didn't I just say that we shouldn't talk about business at the table? Let's eat first. What he meant was that this meal was not enough and he had to continue eating another day. Zhu Zhifa was furious, but President Ma was his last hope. It was all his fault. He wanted to eat until he was fat, so he rushed out a lot of orders. Now, he could not get a loan, could not get a new line, and could not complete it on time. If he lost money, he might even go bankrupt. If he took a step back and got a set of outdated and cheap equipment, it would cost at least a few million. On the other hand, it would be obsolete sooner or later. It would be a waste of money, and the production task might not be completed on time. Even if this matter could be settled through the proper procedures, it would still be dragged on by this man with the surname Ma. After wasting a few months, the factory would still be finished. Now, he really could not do anything about this man with the surname Ma. There was no other way. After sitting down again, the young man next to Zhu Zhifa continued to pull him to drink. This time, the young man was finally willing to reveal his identity. He moved closer to Zhu Zhifa and whispered. It turned out that this guy was President Ma's nephew. He gestured for Zhu Zhifa to go outside to talk with him. Zhu Zhifa had been ignored for the whole meal. Seeing that he finally had a chance to talk, he hurriedly followed. Even if he was just a nephew sent by President Ma, it was convenient for him to talk about things that were not convenient for outsiders to hear. Chen Guang first looked at the fat President Ma, who was still happily bragging. He then looked at Zhu Zhifa, who was excitedly following him out. Chen Guang frowned slightly. It was already such a lousy situation. That man with the surname Ma obviously did not want to do anything. Zhu Jifa was too anxious and blinded by lard. Maybe this guy asked Zhu Jifa to go out to take advantage of his anxiousness to ruthlessly cut him off first. Chen Guang said to Hu Ling that he was going to the toilet too and followed them out. He felt that he had learned Zhu Jifa's way of doing business. It was embarrassing for him to kneel down and beg others to do business. Anyway, he couldn't do it. Wasn't it just 10 million? I have 183 million in my UBS account that I have nowhere to spend. How could he watch Zhu Jifa, who wasn't even his biological brother, suffer like this? Even if touching this money would step on Lioli's tail, he couldn't ignore it. Although Lioli was rude and unreasonable, she still had to be reasonable. When Chen Guang followed Zhu Jifa outside, he wasn't in a rush to argue with Zhu Jifa. Instead, he hid in a corner and listened to what the two had to say. Although it would feel good to flip the table in front of everyone, there's no need to offend them. Chen Guang was someone who had no desires, but he wasn't representing himself at this moment. Since he was sitting here with Zhu Jifa, he was also representing his factory. Two people's whispers came from the other corner of the wall. As expected, that was what that guy was planning. The young man's tone indicated that the matter was difficult, but not impossible. Mr. Zhu, it's not that my uncle doesn't want to help you, but the current national policy is the same. It's not easy. Zhu Jifa nodded bitterly. I know it's not easy, so I asked Brother Deng to contact President Ma. I don't dare to say anything else, but although the printing factory is a sunset industry, I have a lot of orders. As long as I can get a loan, I promise I won't let the loan go bad. The young man moved his face closer. Mr. Zhu, I understand what you're saying, but my uncle has his difficulties too. Zhu Jifa grunted in response. He was extremely impatient, but he also understood why bank manager Ma kept his nephew by his side. If bank manager Ma has any difficulties, why don't you tell me? As long as I, Zhu Jifa, can help, I won't hesitate. The young man smiled and suddenly said mysteriously, my uncle is quite fond of jade artifacts. After saying that, he did not say anything else. Zhu Jifa was in a dilemma. Difficulties my *SS. I thought you're good at it, but you're still the same. It was not popular to give money directly. After all, money, no matter if it was transferred to an account or changed into cash and hidden somewhere, would eventually be exposed. Jade, calligraphy, and paintings were stylish and valuable and could be exchanged for cash. Actually, Zhu Jifa would rather the other party ask for money. Jade was more troublesome. No matter how much money he asked for, it would not be more than 100,000. But when it came to jade, how could he take out anything less than 100,000? The other party had already said that he liked jade, so his family must have some treasures. If the quality of the gift was too low, not only would it not please the other party, but it would also offend the other party. The value of the gift could only be figured out by the person asking for help. To be on the safe side, the value had to be estimated high, and the person would rather give more than less. But with Zhu Jifa's net worth, he could still afford tens of thousands. If it exceeded 100,000, it would be a serious problem. Even a factory worth 200,000 would not be able to operate smoothly. Obviously, it was not the first time the young man had done this on behalf of President Ma. He turned around and walked into the private room. Turning the corner, the young man saw Chen Guang, who had the same ugly expression. The young man could guess Chen Guang's mood at the moment. He snorted arrogantly and ignored Chen Guang. Zhu Jifa frowned and turned around. He saw Chen Guang's livid face and squeezed out a smile. He patted him on the shoulder and said softly, I didn't expect it to be so difficult. It's embarrassing. Don't be impulsive and ruin things. If you're really angry, you can go back first. Don't worry, this little setback won't defeat me. Snorting through his nose, Chen Guang continued, Who the hell are these people? Don't tell me you're really going to give that Ma guy hundreds of thousands of jade? Can't you tell? They don't have the attitude to help at all, okay? Zhu Jifa shook his head. They don't want to help because I didn't do my job well. Don't worry, it can be done. *CK. Was there a need to be so humble to please this kind of thing that ate people without spitting out the bones? Aren't you just short of money? How big of a deal is it? I have 10 million. Chen Guang finally said. But Zhu Zhifa did not believe him at all. Don't tease me. Okay, if you're angry, don't go in to eat. Walk around outside first. Today's meal is like this. It's all because of this mess. I really have money. Seeing that he did not believe him, Chen Guang said anxiously. Zhu Zhifa almost laughed. Okay, I know you're trying to comfort me because you pity me. But this is nothing. How can it be worse than me being bullied by Lu Xiaohong? There are hundreds of people in the factory who depend on me to make a living. This money is really important. If I mess it up, it's all over. If your family collapses, I can't collapse. It's tough, but I can take it. If everything collapses, who can take it if the old man gets sick in the future? You don't know how upset I was when I found out your dad wanted to sell the house. Don't worry, watch me. Take care of him. With that, Zhu Zhifa turned and walked into the private room. Chen Guang was so angry that his head was about to explode. Just as he was about to take out his UBS black card to teach this ignorant grandson a lesson, he had already closed the private room door. His meaning was obvious. I'll take the brunt of this, and you can stay in your ivory tower and be a university student. Chapter 336. Chen Guang was depressed for a while, thinking to himself, anyway, this meal is destined to be free. If he wants to embarrass himself, then let him embarrass himself first. When this group of grandsons surnamed Ma eat and drink enough and leave, then I will slap his face with the UBS black card. Let's see if this guy still thinks of me as a kid who hasn't graduated. Shameful, a racing god, a rich man of 200 million, was actually looked down upon by a good brother who grew up wearing the same underwear. You wait for me. Chen Guang really wanted to know when he really slapped 10 million in Zhu Zhifa's face, what kind of expression this silly guy who always regarded him as a big brother would have. I'll let you be so poor. Just as he was picturing that scene in his mind, his cell phone rang, and it turned out to be a call from Zhong Bai. Picking up the phone, Chen Guang was in a slightly irritable mood and asked hurriedly, "What's the matter?" On the other side of the phone, Zhong Bai still didn't know that Chen Guang had become a powder keg at this time, and only said cheerfully, "Sister Lu Fei just came back from abroad and asked me to gather everyone together. I think, Brother Guang, you should have finished your exam, right? Why don't you come over when you have time? Sister Lu Fei said that you want to learn business, so let's talk together?" If it was another time, Chen Guang would really be interested in learning business with this group of people. After all, he had a deep understanding of Lu Fei's ability after chatting in Hong Kong last time. A person who could lose 500 million in a year was definitely very experienced. But today was really not the time. He was annoyed with Zhu Zhifa's business methods, so how could he have the mood to learn? He was still waiting for Zhu Zhifa to finish his work and slap 10 million in his face. Not today, you guys are busy, I have something to do in the city. Chen Guang refused. Zhong Bai was about to speak, but Lu Fei grabbed his cell phone. Enough, Zhong Bai, this silly guy, can't even call a person. Chen Guang, where are you these days? Let's come to find you? Hospital? For some reason, Chen Guang felt his hands itch when he heard Lu Fei's voice. He would never admit that he harbored evil intentions, but during those days in Xiangjiang, he had been addicted to touching Lu Fei's body. Now that he suddenly heard this girl's voice after more than 10 days, why did his hands vaguely have an illusion, as if he had grabbed something again? On the other side, Zhong Bai and the others were already making a ruckus, vaguely shouting something. Eat him. Sister Lu Fei, go. Rise. All of you shut up. There's nothing going on between me and Chen Guang. Don't spout nonsense. Luffy flew into a rage, and the other side fell silent. Chen Guang smiled when he heard this. Lu Fei was also a tough woman. It seemed that Zhong Bai's request for him to go to their gathering to talk about business was a lie. Lu Fei really wanted to see him. She must have been the one who suggested it. It was just that she was shy at first, so she asked Zhong Bai to call her. He shook his head. There was no other way. As the invincible underground racing god, In the eyes of those who liked racing, he was so handsome that people could not extricate themselves. Lu Fei was also a weirdo. She was so rich and seemed to be quite good at doing business. She was such a mature and decent person, but why did she like racing? But this was also good, or else how could he take advantage of her? If he did not get to know this group of people, he would still be running the internet bitterly. He also did not have the money to treat his mother's illness. How could he be like now, with 200 million in his hands ready to act cool at any time? He really underestimated himself. It was hard to say about other things, but what he had done in Xiangjiang in the past 5 days was still a legend in the entire world's underground racing world. If he was willing to reveal his true identity as the racing god, not to mention Lu Fei, there would be at least a dozen foreign girls of similar status waiting to throw themselves into his arms. However, they might not have Lu Fei's natural and beautiful temperament. Qin Guang, say something? Now that you don't race, you don't even want to see us? This is so sad. Lu Fei urged again. I don't mean that really. I'm in Hailing Pavilion now. I have something to do and can't leave. How about you go about your business first? When I'm done, I'll come to see you later. Oh, what a coincidence. We're nearby. Wait for us for a few minutes. What's wrong? You got rich and went to Hailing Pavilion to be corrupt? That restaurant is boring. I'll take you to eat better private dishes another day. Wait for us. After asking for the name of Qin Guang's private room, Lu Fei hung up the phone with a snap. She was burning with anxiety. Qin Guang did not have time to explain that he followed others to be a foil. He thought to himself, forget it, come if you want. At that time, I'll let this group of people meet Zhu Jifa and let them throw out the stack of business cards that scared Dong Tao. Hehehe, with Zhu Jifa's character, who wants to kneel on the spot. Qin Guang patted his head and thought of this. He could not help but start to giggle. Thinking about how Zhu Jifa was still bitterly sucking up to that guy with the surname Ma, Qin Guang wanted to know how much he would regret it later. The real sugar daddy is right in front of you. It's me, the big brother that you treat as a little kid. If Qin Guang completely relied on his own temper, whoever dared to treat him like a fool like President Ma, he would definitely be slapped in the face. Who the hell dilly-dallying with you? Now that he knew that reinforcements would arrive soon, the unhappiness in Qin Guang's heart quickly dissipated. After thinking about it, he decided to return to the private room and sit down. He had not eaten his fill yet. Therefore, he pushed the door open and went in. This time, he was determined to ignore everything and plan to eat in silence. In the end, Qin Guang found that his seat was occupied by someone else. It was none other than the damn fatty, President Ma. Zhu Jifa was already 70 to 80% drunk by President Ma's nephew. He was a little delirious. President Ma's nephew was obviously experienced. He was a fighter in the drinking arena. When Qin Guang turned his head to look, he suddenly felt blood rushing to his head. F*CKU? Isn't it enough for you to take advantage of me? Swindling, taking benefits without doing anything, isn't it enough to be an ingrate? You even want to touch my brother's woman. You're rebelling. At this moment, President Ma's face was red. He seemed to be half drunk as well. He was sitting in Qin Guang's original seat with one hand holding Hu Ling's shoulder. Hu Ling looked embarrassed. She struggled with all her might, but how could her strength compare to the big fatty, President Ma? She did not dare to really flip the table for President Ma. The one with the surname Ma held Hu Ling's shoulder with one hand and slammed the table with the other. Xiao Zhu is really lucky. This factory isn't doing well, but it's really good at picking people. Xiao Hu looks cute and pretty. Look at how cute and helpless she is. Good, very good. Xiao Zhu, let me put it this way. Xiao Hu and I hit it off the moment we met. I might not be able to negotiate with you, but I can negotiate with Xiao Hu. Do you understand? Zhu Jifa also realized that the situation was not right, but he was even drunker than President Ma. He could not even speak fluently. He held his head and shook his head. No, not good, President Ma smiled. There's nothing bad about it. It's quite good. Isn't that why you brought Xiao Hu here? I understand. Let's not beat around the bush in front of an honest person. As long as I discuss this with Xiao Hu, I will definitely settle it for you. How about it? Zhu Jifa was still shaking his head. No, no way. On the other side, President Ma's nephew suddenly stuffed a glass of wine into Zhu Jifa's hand and clinked glasses with him. Bottoms up. Zhu Jifa was drunk. He picked up the glass and drank. Before he even drank half a glass of wine, he slumped on the table and was completely drunk. Chapter 337. On the other side, when President Ma saw that Zhu Jifa had finally collapsed, he turned his head and laughed at Hu Ling. His breath reeked of alcohol, and he became even more unscrupulous. This grandson smiled and moved his face closer to Hu Ling. He held a cup in his hand and shoved it into Hu Ling's mouth. He said, "Little Hu, you're little Zhu's right-hand man. Come, little Hu, drink this cup. When you're done drinking, we'll have a good chat. After we chat, things will be easier." Following President Ma's actions, everyone at the table roared with laughter. Perhaps everyone was drunk, or perhaps President Ma often brought his confidants to do this kind of thing. Following President Ma's actions, everyone at the table roared with laughter. Perhaps everyone was drunk, or perhaps President Ma often brought his confidants to do this kind of thing. For a moment, the large private room was filled with the smell of demons dancing in a frenzy. Hu Ling had never encountered this kind of situation before, so she stiffened her neck and dodged to the side. President Ma suddenly became annoyed and slammed the cup on the table. The expensive Moutai splashed out like water, splashing all over Hu Ling's body. "I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. I'll say it here. If you accompany me to drink and chat to your heart's content today, we can talk about the loan, but if you insist on putting on airs like this, then don't blame me. I, Ma Lin, at least have some face in the 5 capital financial circle. Your President Zhu can forget about getting a single cent from our system in the future." Hu Ling's face turned pale in fear. She looked at Zhu Jifa for help, but he was already lying on the table and snoring loudly. This sounds like a long time, but from the time Chen Guang opened the door to the time he walked behind President Ma, it was only a dozen seconds. The raging anger rushed from his heels to the top of his head. He could see through the man with the surname Ma at a glance. This B** didn't want to do anything for Zhu Jifa at all. Not only did he not want to do anything, but he also deliberately got Zhu Jifa drunk and went crazy with the help of the alcohol. He wanted to eat Hu Ling clean. If he wasn't here today, perhaps old Zhu would really have a big fall this time. Don't look at how cowardly he was right now. If Hu Ling really suffered a loss, he really was the kind of person who dared to go in with a white knife and come out with a red one. Fine, since I'm here today, I'll help him stab the knife in first. This group of crazed fellows did not notice that Chen Guang had gradually walked behind Ma Lin. Hu Ling was so scared by Ma Lin that she almost cried. Her mind was blank, and she didn't know what to do. If she had waited until tomorrow to talk to Brother Deng and understand President Ma's character, she would not even appear at this table. Even if Ma Lin really wanted to give a woman to Ma Lin, it would not be her. Ma Lin could just spend money to hire a PR person. She really liked Zhu Jifa. She didn't want to see Zhu Jifa miss the opportunity and cause the factory to collapse. She had a weak personality and was worried that her resistance would completely offend Ma Lin. Right now, she was in a dilemma. Seeing that he had successfully subdued her, Ma Lin grinned. "That's right. Io little Hu, your body is really..." As he spoke, he really reached out his hand towards Hu Ling's chest. Hu Ling desperately tried to push his hand away, but the president once again put on a straight face. "Xiao Hu, you better think it through." Hu Ling did not dare to move. Ma Lin's demonic claws were getting closer and closer. The other people sitting at the table were also sizing up the two of them with mocking gazes. Clearly, this wasn't the first time Ma Lin had done this in front of this group of people. However, he did not succeed in the end because Chen Guang grabbed his hair from behind and pulled it back. "F***CU, you piece of H***T. I've seen a lot of SH**TTY people, but I've never seen someone as F***TTY as you." Chen Guang angrily attacked. He did not think about controlling his strength at all. He used all his strength on Ma Lin's hair and instantly flipped this fat man who weighed at least 180 kilograms to the ground. A bunch of his hair was pulled out. Ma Lin screamed and fell on his back. The back of his head hit the hard floor tiles and he held his head and howled. Chen Guang held Hu Ling's shoulder, who was completely shocked by the sudden turn of events. He did not want her to fall down because of Ma Lin. Hu Ling, it's not appropriate for me to call you sister-in-law, but I can't stand it anymore. Brother Fa is drunk, so I'm the only one who can handle this. As Chen Guang spoke, he kicked Ma Lin's abdomen, who was slowly crawling up, causing the fatty to cry out before he hugged his abdomen and squatted down. Everything happened too fast. The people that Ma Lin brought with him did not understand what was going on. Ma Lin's nephew moved the fastest. He stood up from his chair and rushed towards Chen Guang with a wine bottle in his hand. He cursed, "Mother f***, do you want to die? Why you guys standing there like idiots? Do it. Kill this f***. Chen Guang raised his hand and grabbed the wine bottle that Ma Lin's nephew knocked over. With a little force, he snatched it back into his own hand. With a shake of his hand, the wine bottle hit the head of the young man who was jumping up the most. For a moment, glass shards flew everywhere. Ma Lin's nephew held his head and screamed as he retreated. Blood began to flow from the gaps of his fingers. Either don't make a move or you have to be ruthless. This was Chen Guang's life principle. There were more than 10 people on the other side. If he was alone, he would not be afraid of them at all. But now there was a drunk Zhu Jifa and a powerless Hu Ling. Therefore, from the beginning, he had to subdue this group of grandchildren to prevent the other two from being implicated. His crazy action of killing the chicken to warn the monkey really scared the other 10 people silly. It was not that he had never seen people fight, but there were not many people who fought in such a ruthless way. There were even fewer people who broke the other person's head without any hesitation. Chen Guang snorted. Holding the half bottle, he walked next to Ma Lin, who was trembling as he stood up. Without any nonsense, he grabbed Ma Lin's hair and gestured the half bottle in front of Ma Lin's face. It was funny. A lot of the hair on this guy's head fell off after he grabbed it just now. Now it was almost bald, which was very funny. This time, the other people who were a little tempted to make a move were all dumbfounded. If Chen Guang really stabbed the bottle into Ma Lin's neck, the consequences would be unimaginable. You don't mess around. Ma Lin endured the pain in his stomach and stepped back little by little until his back was completely pressed against the wall. He was sweating profusely. If you have something to say, let's talk it out. I was just joking with Xiaohu. I didn't really mean that. Little brother, please calm down. Ma Lin was afraid. He was less than 50 years old and he still had a lot of years to enjoy. He couldn't die here today. Of course, although he was begging for mercy in his heart, he already hated Zhu Jifa and brother Deng, who introduced him to him. Where did you find such a bastard? You want to kill someone just because of a disagreement. You don't look like you are here to talk at all. When I go back, don't even think about getting a penny from the Wujing City bank system. Not only that, I will send this bastard to prison and let him stay in prison for a long time. Chapter 338. Chen Guang grinned. How could he not understand what Ma Lin was thinking? He directly exposed him. President Ma, you say that you're convinced, but your eyes seem to have a lot of ideas. Chen Guang threw the bottle away and let it shatter on the floor. His left hand held onto Ma Lin's collar with one hand, and the strength of one hand was enough to lift Ma Lin up completely. After mastering the Qilin arm, his strength, which was already greater than an ordinary person's, had increased by another 50%. The specific manifestation of this was that he was able to lift up such a large fatty with one hand with this seemingly weak arm. The private room was silent for a moment. Everyone was so scared that they sucked in a breath of cold air. This was a troublesome matter. At this moment, Hu Ling pounced on Chen Guang from behind and pulled him. Chen Guang, put him down. Quickly put him down. Chen Guang struggled for a moment and pushed Hu Ling away with his right hand. Sister Hu Ling, don't worry. I know what you're nervous about. Isn't it just a loan of 10 million? It's not a big deal. It's such a small amount of money. Is there a need to humble yourself and beg others? I've been holding it in because I really wanted to learn something with my ears. Now it seems that it's more practical to talk with my fists. Hu Ling was so anxious that she pulled Zhu Jifa again. She wanted to wake him up so that Zhu Jifa could stop Chen Guang. Seeing Hu Ling in tears, Chen Guang rolled his eyes. She was just afraid that the loan would be completely ruined. What's there to be afraid of? Ma Lin spoke again. He felt that he couldn't breathe properly after being lifted up in the air and strangled by the collar. Ma Lin said in a hoarse voice, Bro, put me down. This matter can be discussed, it can be discussed. Just follow the proper procedures. It can be done. Chen Guang loosened his grip. This fatty finally fell and sat on the floor. All right, since we've already gotten to this point, you don't have to pretend to be kind to me anymore. I know what you're thinking in your heart. It's nothing more than to kill me and brother Fa when we get back. It's nothing more than to sue me for intentionally injuring someone and putting me in jail. I know what you're doing. I've seen people like you a few times. Chen Guang was quite straightforward and directly exposed Ma Lin's thoughts. Ma Lin shook his head. No, I definitely don't have such thoughts. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Shrugging his shoulders, Chen Guang took out his UBS black card and shook it in his hand. I've already said that 10 million yen isn't a problem. Brother Fa thought that I was joking, and Hu Ling, you didn't believe me either. But it's really not a big deal. Hu Ling was still a little confused, but Ma Lin was an insider. He recognized the uniqueness of the card in Chen Guang's hand at a glance. Not to mention the number of people who could make this card, they could indeed take out 10 million. Seeing Hu Ling's blank face, Chen Guang felt a slight pain in his balls. Big sister, why don't you know this? You made me fail to show off. He simply pulled Ma Lin over. President Ma, help me explain this card to Sister Hu Ling. Ma Lin was almost disgusted by Chen Guang's appearance as a nouveau riche. However, this nouveau riche was too good at fighting. A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Ma Lin could only bite the bullet and explain to Hu Ling. As he explained, he stared at his nephew who was squatting in the corner. Thank God, the blood on the kid's forehead had stopped. When Chen Guang knocked the kid's head, although he was angry, his action was too fast and too ruthless. The bottle only broke on the kid's forehead and then retracted. It didn't really cut the kid's forehead. Otherwise, someone would really die today. Hu Ling didn't understand, but after listening to Ma Lin's shaky explanation, she understood. Zhu Jifa's little brother, Chen Guang, was really awesome now. Brother, since there's no need for a loan, are we just going to let this matter go? Then can we leave first? My nephew's injuries are quite serious. We have to go to the hospital as soon as possible. Ma Lin said as he moved towards the door of the private room. Chen Guang sneered. Amazing, really amazing. I've always heard that some people in this world can hide their thoughts in their hearts, and no one can see through them. President Ma, you've really broadened my horizons. I admire you very much. Ma Lin awkwardly forced a smile. I don't really understand what you mean, brother. I really admire your acting skills of adapting to the circumstances. But do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Kid, why are you being so arrogant? In this world, it's not about having a strong fist. I've seen a sea of rich people. Now that the situation is stronger than you, you'll regret it later if I let you be cocky, right? As Chen Guang spoke, he pressed forward again and looked at Ma Lin aggressively. Ma Lin's eyes flashed. No. Actually, Chen Guang didn't guess wrong. Although UBS black card users had some status, his card wasn't the scariest 10 billion gold card of UBS. His status in the country was basically the same level as an American Express black card. The lowest standard was China Merchants Bank. As long as a person's personal assets reached 20 million, they could grit their teeth and get it. Ma Lin was the president of a county branch of Dongchong Commercial Bank, and he was also the manager of a large industrial county. He usually greeted the big entrepreneurs in the county, and a UBS black card couldn't scare him off. Now that he was acting so cowardly, it was purely because Chen Guang's methods were too ruthless, to the point that he didn't dare to bear the consequences of angering Chen Guang on the spot. But after that, his revenge wouldn't be so easy. What Ma Lin was thinking was, how much you made me suffer today, how much face I've lost, I'll definitely pay you back 10 times, 100 times the next day. He didn't expect that the person in front of him was not only ruthless in his attacks, but also ruthless in his judgment of others. He couldn't hide his little schemes anymore. So, since I've already offended you to this extent, and the grudge has already been established, even if I let you go now, you'll still come looking for trouble later. With someone like you, it's impossible not to kill me. So, there's no need to worry about too much debt. Now, I have to leave you with a deeper memory. Anyway, isn't it a fight to the death? I quite like this. It was rare for Qin Guang to be so unforgiving. It was because Ma Senlin's idea of hitting on Hu Ling had touched his reverse scale. I treat Zhu Jifa as my own brother, and Hu Ling can be considered as half a sister-in-law. King came with such a big tone today. We didn't have a good meal, so we came here anxiously. We waited bitterly for you for an hour, and then King treated us like fools. King got my brother drunk, and you even have designs on my sister-in-law. If I don't leave some flowers for you, the old man's thoughts won't be smooth. What are you doing? Ma Lin heard that Qin Guang's tone was getting more and more sinister, and he gradually felt that something was wrong. At this time, one of his men finally saw that the situation was not good and wanted to rush out of the private room, but Qin Guang had already blocked in front of him like lightning. He backhanded the man's face, and the man spun around and fell down. This is the last warning. Before I let you go, whoever dares to move will really die. As soon as he said that, the atmosphere in the private room that had just eased up was instantly frozen again. Do you think I'm too much? Don't you want to forgive me? That's right, I'm this kind of person. You're very unlucky to have fallen into my hands. President Ma, I'll give you 2 choices. Kneel down and slap your own face with whichever hand you used to take advantage of Sister Hu Ling just now. Keep slapping until your face is swollen. Qin Guang grinned, and his words were indescribably cold. Everyone had a reverse scale that couldn't be touched. Ma Lin had stepped on his reverse scale today. Chapter 339. Don't go too far. Ma Lin was originally full of anger. He was waiting to escape from here before looking for an opportunity to retaliate. He didn't expect this brat to become more and more ruthless. He didn't soften his attitude because of his concession. Hearing this, Qin Guang grinned and slowly put his hand on his neck. The fat on this fat guy's neck was a little disgusting. Didn't you go too far just now? Since you didn't have the intention of lending from the beginning, you shouldn't have come to this meal, let alone touch my sister-in-law. Hu Ling looked at Qin Guang with a complicated expression. She really didn't expect Zhu Jifa's little brother to be so violent. If it was before, she could still persuade him, but now she knew that although this guy looked young, he was actually very rich. She also thought that such a big shot might have his own plans. She was just Zhu Jifa's secretary, so she really couldn't figure out the thoughts of these high-ranking people. On the other side, Qin Guang spoke again. Didn't I just say that there are 2 choices? The first is that you kneel down and slap yourself in the face. The second choice is that I break your dishonest hand. It seems that you chose the second one. As he spoke, Qin Guang let go of his neck and grabbed Ma Senlin's left arm with his right hand. His 5 fingers gradually increased the strength. Feeling the pain from his arm getting more and more intense, Ma Senlin's pupils shrank. He finally knew that this person wasn't joking. A complete madman. No, he saw through my plan. He knew that even if he let me go, I wouldn't give up easily. *CK. What the hell should I do now? With a plop, this arrogant Mr. President finally knelt down. Loud slaps sounded in the private room one after another. Qin Guang stood by the side with his hands crossed and looked at this person coldly. Ma Lin thought it through. Compared to breaking his hand, it was easier to slap his face swollen. Since he couldn't escape today, he would grit his teeth and accept this loss. To be able to climb through the system to where he was now, he was indeed a person who knew how to judge the situation. Therefore, he hit very hard, trying to beat his face up as fast as possible. He just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Hu Ling didn't expect that the meal would end up like this. During this time, the hailing pavilion's waitress came in once, but she was frightened by the strange atmosphere in the private room. The fat man kneeling on the ground and constantly slapping himself made her think that this was a scene of a gangster boss punishing his underlings. She shrank her neck and ran away, ignoring the pleading eyes of Ma Senlin's subordinates. Ma Senlin was originally very fat, and it was not easy to beat him until he looked swollen, but he finally did it. It took him a whole 5 minutes, and the inside of his mouth was almost rotten. "Bro, are you done?" "I'm convinced, I'm really convinced." Half of Ma Senlin's face was swollen, and his left eye could hardly open. He raised his head and looked at Chen Guang, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Chen Guang waved his hand impatiently. "That's about it. If you want to get out, then get out. If you want to call the police, then call the police. But I advise you not to find people from the underworld to cause trouble for me. That will really get you killed." Ma Senlin responded vaguely, I don't dare, I absolutely don't dare." Then he decisively got up and planned to go outside. Before he had time to open the door, the private room's door was suddenly opened again. It was Lu Fei who walked in first. Lu Fei was very quick-witted. The moment she entered the door, she felt that the atmosphere was not right. She looked at Ma Senlin, whose face was swollen like a bun, and another group of bank staff who were shrinking their necks and planning to run away. Then she looked at Chen Guang, who had not had time to retract his pretentious expression. She instantly understood. "You didn't get what you wanted, so you beat him up?" Lu Fei asked straightforwardly, right in front of Ma Senlin. Chen Guang shrugged. He had beaten Zhu Jifa up, and his anger had also dissipated. He just needed to wait for Zhu Jifa to sober up, and then he would slap the UBS black card on his face to let this guy know how stupid he was. He was in a good mood, something like that. He deserved to be beaten up, so I beat him up. When saying this, Chen Guang suddenly thought of the scene when Zhong Bai and the others smashed Dong Tao's car. They were probably as overbearing as he was now. They smashed your car, threw you a business card, and asked you to pay for it, but you didn't dare. However, Chen Guang did not have the slightest intention to pay for Ma Senlin. Ma Senlin also looked at Lu Fei blankly, with a blank face. He knew the Missy of the Lu family. He had seen her from afar, but he didn't even have the qualifications to go up and talk to her. She was definitely not someone that he, as the president of a county branch of a commercial bank, could afford to offend. In a normal sense, running a business required people in the banking system, but when the scale and power of the Lu family reached the level of tyrannical power, the relationship between them was not in the normal sense. Not to mention other things, just based on the influence of the Lu family in Dechuan province, one word from them, and Ma Senlin's career prospects would basically be bleak, and he might not be able to keep his backing. Behind him, Zhong Bai and Wang Qing had already rolled up their sleeves and rushed inside. Zhong Bai was very excited. "What's wrong? Brother Guang fought with someone? Great. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?" Seeing Zhong Bai again, Ma Senlin's heart thumped again. The young master of Huangxiang Corporation was also here. This situation didn't seem right. He called this young man Brother Guang? Called him brother? Why did he look like he was a lackey? Wang Qing was worthy of being Wang Guoxiong's son. He had already squeezed to the front silently with his hands behind his back, probably hiding something. Wang Qing had already seen Chen Guang's godlike feat in the Xiangjiang car gambling competition. He saw with his own eyes that he used his GTR to step on the heads of all the car kings in the world, becoming a legend of a generation and fulfilling his highest dream of racing. Even though he no longer raced, every time he saw the live broadcast videos brought back by Lu Fei, Wang Qing still felt his scalp tingling and his blood boiling. Today, Chen Guang had already become a god in his heart. "Those who dare to go against my god are my enemies." But what made Ma Senlin feel the most despair was not Wang Qing, because he did not know Wang Qing, the son of a rather low-key underground boss in the 5 capitals. What really made his legs go soft was another young man standing behind Wang Qing with an awkward expression. Yes, it was this 26-year-old young man who had a lot of connections. Last month, he suddenly landed on his head and became his immediate boss. At this age, he did not dare to even fart when he sat on his head. But now, he saw him here. He was so inconspicuous in the crowd. Who exactly was this brother Guang? King knows so many big shots, and you yourself are also someone who can slap 10 million yuan. And you still want me to borrow a chicken feather. You guys are playing with me. Ma Lin felt like he was about to collapse. Ma Lin, what the hell is going on? This guy also knew that something was wrong, so he quickly squeezed from the back to the front. Duanwen, you know him? Lu Fei turned her head and asked. Duanwen nodded awkwardly. My subordinate, President Ma Lin of the county branch. Chapter 340. Hearing those words, Chen Guang nearly burst into laughter. He felt that Ma Lin was truly unlucky today. It was one thing for him to beat him up, and it was another thing for him to bump into Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, and Wang Qing. He really didn't expect that Duan Wen, whose name he didn't even remember among Zhong Bai's group, was his immediate superior. How unlucky must this person be for him to be so unlucky? Well, now that things had come to this, he really didn't have to worry about Ma Lin's revenge anymore. It was a pity that he should have broken one of his hands just now. So now it was better to give him another stab. Chen Guang pursed his lips and added oil and vinegar to Ma Lin's great achievements today as if he was telling a story. Chen Guang had always been good at hitting a dog when it was down. Ma Lin listened with cold sweat, his legs were weak, and his face was pale. However, he was actually more afraid of Chen Guang, so he didn't even dare to fart. Among this group of people, there were descendants of famous families like Lu Fei and Zhong Bai. His immediate superior seemed to be just a little brother in the crowd, but Zhong Bai, who was the leader, called him Brother Guang. This person who called him Brother Guang was the real big shot, okay? You're a great man and don't hold grudges against me, okay? Why are you so ruthless to a small role like me? That's about it. Duanwen, you have a good subordinate. Chen Guang said in a half-joking and half-serious manner. They had known each other for a long time, and he wasn't threatening Duanwen, as there was no need to. They were just familiar with each other, and he was joking. Duanwen's face was completely blue. It was very simple. Ma Lin had embarrassed him. If he had known that this swindler was so deceitful, he should have pretended not to know him. They were the second generation of the rich and powerful. The most important thing was their face. If they lost money, they could just go back to their family. If they lost face, it was difficult to earn it back. Ma Lin, I'm really. Duanwen slapped Ma Lin's left face hard again, and the sound was so clear that it made people's teeth ache. All right, Duanwen, if you want to teach someone a lesson, then get this group of trash out. Don't bother me in the private room. On the other side, Zhong Bai quickly pushed Ma Lin and Duanwen out. He also gave a look to the other bank employees of the other counties to get lost. The reason was very simple. When Wang Qing heard Chen Guang say that Ma Lin dared to take advantage of his sister-in-law, he was so King excited that he pulled out a knife. Chen Guang also saw Wang Qing's actions and felt that there was no need to kill him. He coughed violently and said, Ahem. All right. My sister-in-law didn't really suffer any losses. Let's leave it at that. When Duanwen pulled Ma Lin's ear outside, Chen Guang scratched his head in embarrassment and looked at Lu Fei. How can I do that? I accidentally relied on you to support me again. Zhong Bai whispered in his ear, Brother Guang, save it? We're saving Ma Lin's life. Chen Guang raised his eyebrows. What do you know? Zhong Bai coughed softly. My uncle is Wu Shan's secretary. Chen Guang suddenly understood and rolled his eyes. This circle was really small. The news of him killing Shijio and his men must have reached this brat's ears. But it made sense. Although Dechuan province seemed to have hundreds of millions of people, there were only a handful of people at the top of the pyramid. Zhong Bai and Tang Xiaokai were primary school classmates, and Tang Ying and Wu Tong were best friends who grew up together. This small circle was really only so small. It's so boring. It's because of the existence of people like you that it's so difficult for me and Brother Fa, who worked hard to start from scratch, to survive. They couldn't eat in Hailing Pavilion anymore, so they simply moved to a private clubhouse a few minutes away from Hailing Pavilion. It happened to be the place where Lu Fei and the others often met. The meal really cost more than 40,000 yuan, but Zhu Jifa didn't pay for it. Duan rushed to pay the bill, which was considered to save his face today. Zhu Jifa was quite drunk, so Chen Guang simply carried him downstairs and went to the pharmacy downstairs to buy some hangover medicine. On the way, Zhu Jifa was still muttering in a daze, "President Ma, our factory really has a lot of hope." Chen Guang heard this and felt sad. This guy really had it tough. Although he always drove a BMW 5 to show off, his acting was full of blood and tears. President Ma was just a portrayal of his daily life. If he wanted to build a good business, it was inevitable that he would encounter all kinds of disgusting things. There was definitely more than one Wang Lin in his life, but he still gritted his teeth and endured it. "Forget it, as a brother, I'll help him." When they arrived at the clubhouse, Lu Fei and the others muttered and brought them to the number 1 private room. Chen Guang began to panic when he saw everyone talking excitedly. He always heard that some second-generation rich people usually had a heavy taste and even dared to touch drugs that shouldn't be touched. Looking at these people's red faces, he was a little flustered. "I don't want to touch that stuff." "You guys, you're not going to do it, are you?" Chen Guang was a little restless and asked Lu Fei, who was sitting next to him, in a low voice. Lu Fei spat at him. "I'll spit on your face with salt soda. What are you thinking? What do you think Wang Qing is doing?" On the other side, Wang Qing was holding a USB flash drive with an expression like he was on a pilgrimage. His eyes suddenly lit up as he looked at Chen Guang, as if he was going to eat him up. "Brother Racing God, this USB flash drive contains all the videos of your competitions in Hong Kong. We've been waiting for today for a long time. We're just waiting for you to explain it to us personally. I've watched this video at least 50 or 60 times, and there's only admiration left. But I don't quite understand a lot of your movements. Without you personally explaining it, it's not enough." Chen Guang let out a long sigh of relief. "Damn it, isn't it just watching a video? Is it necessary for all of you to show an addict expression? Scared me to death." At this time, Hu Ling put a wet towel on the forehead of the sleeping Zhu Jifa and quietly pulled on Chen Guang's sleeve. "Chen Guang, who are they?" Chen Guang slapped his forehead. "That's right, I almost forgot today's biggest entertainment. Quick, give me all of your business cards. Show them to Hu Ling. Be more domineering and arrogant, especially you, Zhong Bai. Take out your gold-stamped business card of Huang Xiang Group's senior director and use your most handsome posture." Zhong Bai and the others were stunned. "Brother, although we often use this method to show off and slap people in the face, you can't do it like this. You're making us so embarrassed. You make it sound like we're really people who use business cards to show off? No, it doesn't seem to be wrong." The group of people happily took out their business cards and stuffed them into Hu Ling's hands. Hu Ling's eyelids twitched every time she took a business card. Her shock at this time was no better than Dong Tao's, but fortunately, these people seemed to be on the same side. She was much happier than Dong Tao. At this time, Lu Fei's nameless but pretentious business card became her shortcoming. She was too lazy to give it out. Anyway, Zhong Bai and the others were enough. Hu Ling was holding a stack of business cards and giggling. She turned her head from time to time to look at the sleeping Zhu Jifa beside her, and then looked at Chen Guang with a blank expression. Zhu Jifa hadn't been hit yet, but Hu Ling was already heavily injured. Chen Guang chuckled and didn't explain further. He was just waiting for Zhu Jifa to wake up and transfer the money, then he would give him a big surprise. There seemed to be something wrong with the computer, and Wang Qing still had a long way to go. Lu Fei carelessly bumped her thigh against Chen Guang's leg. "I think you were a little impulsive just now." Chapter 341. Chen Guang knew what she meant. This big sister was going to teach him how to conduct himself. Seeing that he was listening attentively, Lu Fei couldn't bear to scold him anymore. She sighed. "It's just that we're all here, and Duan happens to be Ma Senlin's boss. So even if you cripple him, things can still be controlled. But if you want to learn how to run a business, you can't be so impulsive. Don't think that Wang Lin is just an ordinary branch president. Whether it's in business or politics, who doesn't have a backer? You beat up the little guy, so naturally, you will attract the big guy's attention. If you hit him because of a disagreement, it will make it difficult for you to move forward. You have to calm down in the future. Lu Fei was afraid that he would get impatient. I'm doing this for your own good. Coincidentally, Wang Lin's backer is Duan Wen. If it were someone else, it would not have been so easy to resolve. Chen Guang shrugged. I know you're doing this for my own good. I understand the logic, so I held it in for brother Fa's sake. Everything else is fine, but he wanted to touch sister Hu Ling. I can't stand it. I'll do the same thing again. That won't do. You can't just kill him on the spot. What if he comes back to take revenge? Lu Fei saw that he did not take any warning and felt helpless. Chen Guang took out his phone. You're looking down on me. As he said that, he showed Lu Fei the video he secretly recorded at the dinner table. If Wang Lin really doesn't want to let go, I'll put this on my Weibo. TSK, what influence can a lousy Weibo have? Lu Fei rolled her eyes in disdain, but she felt more at ease. Chen Guang was not as impulsive as he looked. He did things methodically. He secretly recorded the video and had evidence. Although Wang Lin worked for a commercial bank, he might not be able to handle this kind of scandal. Chen Guang chuckled. You don't understand. I'm going to become an internet celebrity soon. My Weibo is not lousy. Internet celebrity my ass. Lu Fei's face was full of contempt. Chen Guang was unhappy. What kind of attitude is that? I'll show you my Weibo. He has at least tens of thousands of fans now. Then, the two of them put their heads together and stared at Chen Guang's phone. 30 seconds later, Chen Guang shook his head and rubbed his eyes. What happened? Am I blind? If he remembered correctly, when he uploaded the video today, he only had around 1,000 fans at most. Even with Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage's reposts, it had been a few hours now, so he only had around 10,000 fans at most. What the F***CK? 1,100,000, more than 800,000 fans. Lu Fei was also stunned. With her status, she did not need to care about being an internet celebrity. As long as she wanted to, she could be more famous than most internet celebrities at any time. But Chen Guang was someone she knew. She had seen him often. Other than the fact that he could instantly turn into an invincible racing god after putting on his mask, his real identity was just a little student. But he was actually a famous person. Awesome. He's indeed an internet celebrity. 800,000 fans is not bad. But, Founder. Lu Fei was about to scream. Chen Guang hurriedly covered her mouth. Shu, lower your voice. Chen Guang had closed the comments and deleted his personal information because he did not want people to know the true identity of the all-rounder. In the end, he had accidentally forgotten about it in front of Lu Fei. Lu Fei was smart and guessed his thoughts. She whispered into his ear, All right, I won't say it loudly. I really did not expect it to be you. We were just discussing this video when we were eating. I thought that the mask looked familiar, but I thought it was a coincidence. I did not expect it to be you. Chen Guang grunted. It's good enough that you know about this. I came up with such a lousy name, but I still have a lot of fame. Later on, I will have other things to show off. Lu Fei was at a loss. Look at you. You don't look like you like to be famous. What are you after? Chen Guang rolled his eyes. It's not easy to explain to you. It's fun, right? Can I tell you that I want to collect faith energy? Of course not. Then this is our little secret? Only the two of us know about it? Lu Fei said excitedly. She was actually happy because of this. Chen Guang did not lie to her. Including Jin Shuiwei, Jiang Yage, and you, a total of 4 people know about it. That's right. After all, your Weibo post was reposted by the two of them. You know these 2 people? Lu Fei was curious about the relationship between Chen Guang and his right-hand man. It was a coincidence. We met a few times. We're friends, I guess. Chen Guang said indifferently. Lu Fei suddenly put her hand on his shoulder. Then, is your relationship with your right-hand man better or mine better? Chen Guang was burning with Lu Fei's touch. My relationship with you is better. Much better. Lu Fei was satisfied. At least you have a conscience. By the way, I told you to work for me last time. Come over during the summer vacation and be my sweetheart. I'll show you how I do business. It's totally different from your brother's small business. I guarantee that you'll learn something from it. Chen Guang was a little tempted, but he had other plans for this summer vacation, so he did not plan to follow Lu Fei around for the time being. Moreover, he was about to get 10 million from Lioli, and he would have to dig out at least a few million from his Dota team. This woman seemed to have not recovered from the pain of being blown up into an African, but it was better not to provoke her, right? More than 100 million yuan in cash was in his account, but it was not his. It was quite a bitter feeling. Let's put this aside for now. There are quite a lot of things to do during the summer vacation. Sure. Anyway, let me know when you're interested. I have no problem with it. Lu Fei was not angry at Chen Guang's rejection. On the other side, Wang Qing was finally done. This guy was quite creative. He actually re-edited the video and made it look like a documentary. The opening scene was accompanied by blood-boiling background music, and there were even special effects added to the scene. It looked especially cool. He put the microphone in Chen Guang's hand and said regretfully, "It's a pity that this video can't be shown outside, or it will cause a sensation. Save it. I don't want to be blacklisted by the traffic police. And I don't want to be challenged by street racers who jump out of nowhere all day long." Chen Guang was not interested in what Wang Qing said at all. Anyway, the statue of the racing god training ground had already been erected, so it was useless to make it more famous. He did not care about anything else at all. However, it was quite a unique feeling to watch his 5 days in Hong Kong from beginning to end again. Since everyone wanted to hear it, he might as well explain it to them. Chapter 342. From his point of view, watching his performance in the 5 days of the racing competition again was actually quite a good feeling. Especially when he was bragging, the group of senior directors of Huangxiang Group, the president and general manager of the subsidiary of Lu's chemical industry, the director of the business department of Dongchong Trading Company, these young big shots, who others had to stretch their necks and look up to, all stared at him as if he was a god. Those pairs of eyes were full of worship and infatuation. It was a great feeling. Please don't stop. Here, I chose inertial drift. You guys know inertial drift, right? Finding a key point, Chen Guang began to explain. Even though the group of people had seen this video countless times, it was different with Chen Guang's commentary in person. This tasted strong. Brother racing god, tell me here, it's that time when you flew. How did you dare to fly? Did you accurately calculate the distance before you took off? The good student Zhong Bai called him brother racing god again. Chen Guang smiled confidently and flipped his hair, looking especially elegant and handsome. Calculate my ass, I didn't have time to calculate. I'm not a F** king computer. Just rely on feeling. Intuition. That's the most trustworthy partner of the best racer. Intuition? The group of racing fans only felt that Brother Racing God was really cool at this moment. It wasn't that they hadn't seen the world, in fact, they had seen a lot of the world, but in the field of racing that they loved the most, standing in front of them was the world's God. In the flesh, no discount. This was the man who left an unsurpassable average speed record of 175.99 on the mountain track. This was the strongest racing god in history. Anyway, I'll tell you the truth, my driving skills can't be replicated. I didn't expect you to learn it when I taught you once. Wang Qing might have some talent, but he's still far from it. Chen Guang pointed at Wang Qing. If you want to learn my skills, you have to be prepared to die 95 times. Fortunately, Wang Qing didn't have any major accidents, thank God. Wang Qing scratched his head in embarrassment. So, I don't care if you still want to race in the future. Anyway, from my personal point of view, I hope you can treat this as a hobby. You don't have to risk your lives to race. Anyway, you won't be able to catch up to me in your lifetime. Chen Guang also knew that he wasn't in a position to lecture these people. Even if he did, they might not listen to him. So, he simply mentioned it, which was considered as a perfect ending to his lively class today. Wang Qing, who had suffered a great loss before, was the first to nod. I said at the time that I wouldn't act up again. Now I'm just fascinated, but not by myself. Just like football fans who like to watch football, they don't necessarily need to know how to play. Immediately, Chen Guang told Zhu Zhifa what he saw and heard before the fight, but this time, he didn't exaggerate. After all, Hu Ling didn't really suffer any losses. As expected, this brother exploded when he heard it. He jumped up violently and was about to call his hometown to pull him up. Hu Ling and Chen Guang hurriedly stopped him. After a while, he finally calmed down. Zhu Zhifa also gradually calmed down. He fiercely slapped his own face. *CK. I'm not a man. How could I let my woman suffer like this? Chen Guang comforted him. It's okay. You're a man. This time, it was purely an accident. Who would have thought that Wang Lin was that kind of person? We brothers don't say anything else. This time, fortunately we have you. You did the right thing. Otherwise, I would have to die with his family. Zhu Zhifa sighed. It's a pity that things have turned out like this. There's no hope of getting a loan. Forget it. If the factory collapses, then so be it. It doesn't matter what I do. You said that using miting to open the internet can't make money, right? Then I'll change to a car with lower gas mileage and come to Wujing to drive with you. Alright, save it. Sister Hu Ling, hurry up and show these brothers' business cards to brother Evet. Look at him when he's driving. How can he open the internet? Chen Guang chuckled and gave Hu Ling a look. Zhu Zhifa's face was blank until he saw the business card that Hu Ling gave him. His eyes were even more blank. Zhong Bai and the others gave enough face to Chen Guang. Every time Zhu Zhifa saw a business card, he would come up and say hello to him. Every time he said hello, Zhu Zhifa's little heart would beat faster. The more business people were in, the more they understood what the information on these people's business cards represented. The more difficult it was to start a business, the more jealous, envious, and looked up to these people who were born with a golden spoon in their mouths. He could not help but be shocked. He was much more knowledgeable than Chen Guang. He had read a lot of financial magazines. All of these companies were like thunder to his ears. They were all a bunch of rich second generations born with a golden spoon in their mouths. Chapter 343. Duan was the last one. He was embarrassed. Bro Fa, I'm Ma Senlin's superior. I'm worried about this incident. I'll investigate and deal with it. I'll arrange another branch for you. As long as the procedures are in line, we can negotiate. Oh right, you don't have to worry about Ma Senlin's revenge. He can't even protect himself now. Duan was straightforward. Although he was Ma Senlin's superior, he couldn't just dismiss his subordinates. However, Ma Senlin's hands were not clean. He might have coaxed Duan well in the past, but after today's incident, Duan saw how bad his new subordinate was. It was beyond his expectations. It was not surprising that he was fired. Zhu Zhifa was dumbfounded. He first looked at Chen Guang, then at Duan, before looking at Hu Ling, who was panicking by the side. Chen Guang felt that this was not enough. He smiled and took out his UBS black card. Bro Fa, do you see this card? It's a UBS black card. Don't even think about it if your personal assets are less than 10 million. I told you, 10 million is nothing. I can transfer it to you anytime. What was wrong with this world? Looking at Zhu Zhifa's silly appearance, Chen Guang felt smug in his heart and imitated Zhu Zhifa's arrogant tone. Why are you asking about the matters of adults? Oh. Check it out. How about it? Call me bro and I'll transfer the money to you on the spot. Lu Fei, who was behind, could not stand his arrogance anymore. She slapped the back of his head. What's the point of being arrogant? Do you really think 10 million is like buying things online? You can even transfer money through your phone? Make an appointment. Sign on the spot. There's a whole bunch of paperwork waiting for you. Transfer the money on the spot? Transfer it to your face. This is? Zhu Zhifa looked at Lu Fei. She looked like his sister-in-law, but not really. Even when Lu Fei was joking with Chen Guang, her aura was too strong. Lu Fei smiled and leaned on Chen Guang's back. The information on my business card is too simple, so I didn't give you a business card. Hi Brother Fei, I'm Lu Fei from the Lu Chemical Industry Group, a hardcore fan of Chen Guang. Lu's Chemical Industry, these four resounding big words reverberated like thunder in the ears. This unreasonably beautiful girl in front of him was called Lu Fei, also surnamed Lu. Combined with the identity of the other people, the identity of this master was self-evident. Hello, hello. Zhu Jifa stood up from the sofa. Lu Fei hurriedly asked him to sit down. Brother, sit down. You're Chen Guang's brother, I don't dare to put on airs with you. All right, you two brothers have a nice chat. I'm going to continue to worship Chen Guang's miracles. I haven't seen enough yet. After saying that, she left, leaving Chen Guang to do whatever he wanted. After Lu Fei left, Zhu Jifa was stunned for a long time before he recovered. He looked at Chen Guang in disbelief. You really struck it rich? Chen Guang nodded. I really struck it rich. Just this month I struck it rich. Very, very rich. I'm afraid you'll be scared to death if I tell you. Anyway, it's not hard for me to take out 10 million to give you. If I give you more, I'm afraid I'll cause trouble. Just as Chen Guang said this, a sinister sneer came from the depths of his mind. Although Azure didn't say anything, she actually understood it very well. Aren't you afraid that I'll squander it all for you? In a hurry to spend it? I understand. Little brat, I'll let you understand how stupid you are. You dare to question my ability. I'm not joking with you. Not only did I finish watching The Great Era, I also finished watching The Unmatched Business Genius. Chen Guang silently teared up. Why is it a TV series again? Big sister, can you come up with something more reliable? What kind of attitude is that? The Unmatched Business Genius is really a classic. There's a lot of truth in it. It's over, it's all over. This crazy goddess has entered the zone. There's no saving her. On the other side, Zhu Jifa took a deep breath and took out a cigarette to calm himself down. He thought for a moment. Didn't Director Duan say that we can arrange for another bank loan? You won't need this money. *CK. I've already given it to you, and you actually don't want me to be angry with you. Won't need your sister. I'm telling you, if you dare not accept it, I'll donate it to Project Hope. Do you believe me? I mean what I say. You have to take Duan Wen's money, and you have to take mine too. Sure enough, threats were the best method. Zhu Jifa knew that Chen Guang was an unreasonable person. He hurriedly said, Don't. If you really have the money, I won't stand on ceremony with you. The factory situation is really critical now. The earlier the funds are in place, the earlier I can contact the factory. But I can't take your money for nothing. How about this? The factory is worth about 8 million now. I'll take 49% of your shares. Chen Guang waved his hands. Don't worry, this is what I'm lending you. The two brothers argued for a long time. In any case, Chen Guang insisted that he didn't want Zhu Jifa's shares. Even if Zhu Jifa swore to the heavens that the factory's situation was good and that as long as there was a new production line, he didn't want it. That factory was the blood, sweat, and tears of Zhu Jifa and his father. Chen Guang's money came too easily, and he was in a hurry to spend it. He didn't want to give Lioli a chance to lose money, so how could Chen Guang have the heart to take 49% of Brother Fa's shares? If it wasn't for Zhu Jifa's insistence, he wouldn't even want to calculate the interest. After the two of them settled the matter, Zhu Jifa joined the crowd and watched the video of Chen Guang's competition in Xianxia again. Only then did he know how Chen Guang got his money and how much it was. Like the others, Zhu Jifa looked at Chen Guang as if he was looking at a god after watching the video. Chen Guang quickly pulled him back. Remember, don't tell my dad, or he'll beat me to death. Zhu Jifa nodded repeatedly, indicating that he understood. It's about adults, ha! Do you still want to act cool in front of me? Do you still dare to look down on me? Do you still want to be a big brother? Chen Guang started to show off again. Zhu Jifa shook his head. I don't dare. That's right. Call me brother, or else I won't give you the loan. Are you done? I'll beat you up. Chen Guang finally went overboard. Zhu Jifa was furious. When they were about to leave late at night, Chen Guang shoved Rena's car key to Zhu Jifa. He planned to get Hu Ling to drive the car back when they went back. He really needed to change cars. Actually, they settled a lot of things that night. Although Chen Guang had donated 10 million yuan and Zhu Jifa didn't need the loan anymore, Duanwen still wanted to settle the matter. On one hand, he wanted to give face to Chen Guang, and on the other hand, he wanted to save face from Wang Lin. It was indeed embarrassing for him to have such a person under him. Zhu Jifa could get a bank loan of 10 million yuan in addition to Chen Guang's loan. With 20 million yuan in hand, he wouldn't panic. Apart from that, Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, and the others also asked for Zhu Jifa's business card when they left. They made it clear that they could consider cooperating with him if they had a suitable order after he was done with the factory. They wouldn't purposely joke about this. Since they really asked for a business card and took the initiative to ask for it, it meant that they were serious about it and not fooling around. Why did these big companies want to cooperate with Zhu Jifa's small printing factory? It was also because of Chen Guang. This made Zhu Jifa very happy. He felt like a man who achieved the Tao. Even his chickens and dogs could ascend to heaven. It didn't feel right when he thought about it. Was he a chicken or a dog? Chapter 344. Look at you, a country bumpkin who hasn't seen the world. You're a disgrace to me. Chen Guang still couldn't restrain his desire to complain. He had been pressured by this guy to be his big brother for more than 10 years. Now, he could finally avenge himself. How satisfying. I'm so unlucky to have a brother like you. Zhu Jifa's face was green with anger, but he was really happy. When Chen Guang said he beat up Wang Lin just now, his heart was already cold. He really planned to run the internet with his brother, but he didn't expect Chen Guang to be so successful all of a sudden. Spring had suddenly fallen from the sky for his family of people who had suffered so much. I underestimated you. Zhu Jifa sighed. All right, you can slowly experience your brother's awesomeness. I'll be going first. Chen Guang waved goodbye to Zhu Jifa and got into Lu Fei's car. In fact, he felt that his biggest gain today was spending the 10 million yuan. On the surface, it seemed like he was simply giving money to Zhu Jifa. However, that was not the case. With the relationship between the two brothers, Zhu Jifa wanted to expand production because there were too many orders. Now, he had even hugged a lot of golden thighs in one go. His factory looked small, but it would not collapse in a short period of time. If he could seize the opportunity, he might really be able to transform from a chicken into a phoenix and expand it. Therefore, when Luli had her eyes on the money in the UBS, he transferred the 10 million yuan to Zhu Jifa and let him use it to build a factory. Not only did he not spend money, but he also made money. He saved 10 million yuan from Luli. This feeling was as good as making money. If his little trick hadn't been discovered by Luli, Chen Guang would really dare to give away 50 million yuan, let alone 10 million yuan. Unfortunately, he could only think about it. Zhu Jifa was also very excited. Although he didn't know what happened to Chen Guang, it was said that a scholar who had been away for 3 days must be treated differently. This time, he met this brother of iron underpants who grew up with him again. He hadn't changed, and the feeling of the two brothers together was still the same. But his status was completely different from what it had been in the past. Not to mention the friends he had made in the 5 capitals, just his UBS black card alone could explain too many problems. After watching Wang Qing's documentary, Zhu Jifa understood that Chen Guang's money had not come easily. He had risked his life to earn it. In fact, he was wrong. Everyone thought that Chen Guang's countless actions during the race were extremely thrilling. Only Chen Guang himself did not take it seriously. You mortals can't understand the realm of gods. Little Light is really different from before. I've underestimated him. Sitting in the passenger seat, Zhu Jifa muttered. Hu Ling, on the other hand, was much calmer than Zhu Jifa when she drove. She giggled and said, "That's right. Thinking about how you always look down on him, I think you're really stupid. Look, a loan of 10 million is such a big deal, but his friends solved it with just a word. He even rushed to pay for such an expensive table of food. How embarrassed we are." Zhu Jifa chuckled. Yes, I'm really stupid. I was still pointing at others. Actually, my own brother is my savior. He told me long ago that he had money, but I didn't believe him. When Uncle Chen returns to the county, I'll still secretly transfer 40% of the shares to him. Hu Ling was puzzled. But didn't he say that he didn't want it? Zhu Jifa shook his head and said firmly, why should I just accept it when he says he doesn't want it? I'm the elder brother after all. How can I take advantage of my younger brother like this? Let me tell you, our factory is going to be rich. I'll go back and work hard. In the future, when it gets big, I won't let him down. I know him. He's hot-tempered and impatient. He's not suitable for business. He can live a poor life, but when he's rich, he's a spendthrift. He doesn't use his brain when doing business. Don't look at how he's almost 200 million now. He's extremely rich, but who knows when he'll squander it all. I'll give the shares to Uncle Chen. If he goes overboard, I'll be his last resort. It's a pity that Uncle Chen hasn't paid off his debt with the court. It's quite troublesome. If it really doesn't work, I'll transfer the shares to Qin Guang's uncle first. Anyway, it's always been like this. Hu Ling didn't respond to him. She pretended to be focused on driving, but she was already complaining in her heart. Chen Guang was right to scold him. The moment he turned his back on her, he started to secretly act like a big brother again. He didn't have any self-awareness at all. Let's get a room? On the other side, Chen Guang was sitting in Lu Fei's car, happily looking at the beautiful woman beside him who seemed to always be wearing leather clothes. Lu Fei poked his head. Dream on. You've missed your chance. I still have a big basket of documents waiting to be approved when I get back. How can it be so easy to have sex with me? Be my sweetheart, and I'll find some time to pamper you depending on my mood. But for now, forget it. Chen Guang sent Lu Fei back to the gate of the hospital with a bitter smile. Fortunately, when he got off the car and rolled away, he had a good time, which could be considered as Lu Fei's compensation. She was really not angry about this matter, and she was really not in a hurry. It was indeed okay to do that with Chen Guang, but she had also passed the time when she was most emotional in Xiangjiang. He was still a virgin. How could she get a room with him just because she said so? You have to arouse my mood first. But now, it's not enough. He got off the car with a big tent. It was late at night, so Chen Guang didn't dare to go back to the ward. Instead, he went directly to the hotel opposite the hospital and got a room. Lying on the bed, the quilt was also covered with a big tent. The effect of the super mighty tonic soup and the imported medicine had not completely disappeared in the past few days. Tonight, he was addicted to sex with Lu Fei, but he didn't really enjoy himself. Something happened, and he couldn't sleep. Chen Guang couldn't help but feel a little melancholy. Although he seemed to have a lot of luck with women, thinking about it carefully, it all became a disaster of love. Being a human was really suffering. It was even worse than being a dog. He could just drag a dog that looked pleasing to the eye along the street and work on it. He didn't need to care about how the world looked at him, and he could be as comfortable as he wanted. Now, he sneaked into the hospital to find the great and righteous healer, Dr. Jishir Tang, to save his life? He would definitely be beaten to death by her. Call Sister Wu Tong? It wasn't that it was impossible, but calling someone in the middle of the night just for this kind of trivial matter was too disrespectful. As his mind was letting his imagination run wild, Chen Guang thought of the embarrassing incident that he encountered with Sun Xiaoxuan in another hotel. He couldn't help but smile. He didn't know what Sun Xiaoxuan was busy with after returning to his hometown. It had only been a few days since the summer vacation started, and he didn't see her, but his heart felt a little empty because he missed her. Forget it, don't think about these useless things. I am the owner of the heavenly Holy Grail, and I can't let my lower body control my thoughts. I opened Weibo to divert my attention and see if my account is really going to go against the heavens. When he looked again, the total number of fans was still around 800,000, but it was close to the 900,000 mark. It seemed that the explosive growth of the first video was about to end. Maybe it would continue to grow, and it might even break the million mark. But if there was no new hot topic, then the follow-up would be the same. But no matter what, having a million live fans was really the most authentic internet celebrity. He was a little hesitant about whether or not to open up private messages. After all, he was already a celebrity, and God knows how many girls with bad intentions were waiting to throw themselves into his arms. But after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. Since he had chosen to maintain a sense of mystery from the beginning, then he might as well keep it mysterious until the end. I'm not going to be a fan maniac. There are hundreds of people, and God knows if those girls that I've never met before will come to me on their own accord. This society is dark, and human nature is complicated. I am the owner of the heavenly Holy Grail, and I can't bury my limited life on those unknown girls. How about this? I'll just casually post a Weibo to say hello to my fans. Hi. Hello everyone. I'm a cute almighty Superman. Please take care of me in the future. I'll keep updating exciting videos. Please continue to support me. *CK. My cute way of greeting actually caused me to lose fans. I lost more than 300 fans in the blink of an eye. Chen Guang's face was full of tears. Was the way I posted on Weibo wrong? There was no reason. I clearly said it in such a friendly and approachable manner. Do you guys have to be so heartless? Is it because my way of greeting is too uncool and seems too low? That's possible. Should I just delete it? Forget it, I've already lost fans anyway. What's the point of deleting it? Besides, I'm not the kind of man who forcefully pretends to be cool. I didn't expect that I would become a fan maniac after just saying hello to everyone. My coolness has plummeted. Finally, he kept refreshing, and after losing more than 3,000 fans at once, it started to slowly rise back up. After being distracted for a long time, he put his hand under his crotch. Trying to divert his attention was useless. What should be hard was still hard. Chen Guang's face also darkened. What kind of sin did I get into? My dad harmed me, Tanging harmed me, and Lu Fei harmed me too. Sure enough, now that things have come to this, I can only rely on my internet drive to get by? Perhaps it was due to luck. Chen Guang suddenly opened WeChat, and then his eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost. Jiang Yage, this woman, you're really something. Chapter 345. In front of him were a few photos that Jiang Yage had sent about 10 minutes ago. The first photo was still okay. At least she was wearing underwear. In the photo, Jiang Yage was blushing. She was making a V sign with her hand in front of the mirror. Her face was blushing shyly. Next to the photo was her photoshopped artistic words. The scale you wanted. The lavender lace bra and the same lavender triangular lace pants were captured by the iPhone 7s's ultra-clear camera. Alright, the scale of the first photo was still tolerable. He could just treat it as a swimsuit photo. But from the second photo onwards, something was wrong. This time, she didn't take a photo of her face. He could only see her from her neck down. The most crucial problem was that there was nothing on her upper body. She was completely naked. Luckily, she used her hands to cover the important parts. The caption read, "I'm a little embarrassed." Chen Guang spat. So you know how to be embarrassed? You don't mean what you say. If you're really embarrassed, why did you send this photo? He scrolled down. The third photo. Crazy. This woman is crazy. Her hands are not covered. After squinting at the photo for about 10 seconds, Chen Guang let out a long sigh of relief. Thank God she was smart enough to censor it. But this was already very exaggerated. Okay. If it wasn't for the first photo, he wouldn't have believed that it was Jiang Yage's own photo. Even if he knew that it was the truth, he would rather lie to himself and say that it wasn't. But it really couldn't be faked. The naughty little black mole beside her belly button was right there. The caption for the third photo was very simple. There were only 3 words. Scroll down. He scrolled down a little and found that the top of the photo was exactly the same as the third photo. Chen Guang could roughly guess something. The version without holy light? He started to panic. What should he do? Should he look or not? Forget it. If you dare to send it, I dare to look. Coward. That's right. It really is the version without holy light. Don't. The sound was coming from a place where it shouldn't be. Chen Guang's eyes widened as if he was possessed. He felt as if he had been struck by lightning. This This was really Jiang Yage. What had happened to this world? Is it my eyes that are wrong, or my phone, or the world? He stared at it for 3 minutes, zooming in again and again, trying to figure out every detail. Finally, the image stopped at the small black mole next to her belly button. At this time, the mole had been enlarged to the point that it occupied half of the phone's screen. It really belonged to her, there was no doubt about it. This crazy woman. The picture was restored to its original size, and the accompanying text was still 3 words. Scroll down. I don't want to read anymore. Chen Guang was terrified. Don't. Once this special skill was added, it was impossible to stop. Even though he knew that it was going to be a trap, he still wanted to jump in without hesitation. All right, he continued to flip to the next page. It was different from the previous 2. She took another photo. Her upper body was still bare, and everything was there. But she found a notebook out of nowhere and wrote a few words on it with a watercolor pen. It was obvious that she was very nervous when she wrote about herself. Her little hands were trembling. The notebook in the photo was in her left hand, and on it was written, "To my dear Light, the photo really belongs to me. Although strong alcohol is good, don't be greedy." 5 minutes later, Chen Guang's heavy breathing came from his nose. He silently pulled a few pieces of tissue from the bedside table. He held the phone tightly and stared at the ceiling with a dull face. His mind was blank, and only one sentence kept echoing in his mind. The old man was tricked. He was trapped in his own trap. "Big sister, I was just joking with you. I didn't really expect you to send me any big pictures." "Big sister, are you crazy? You are a celebrity. Where is your modesty? Where is your integrity? I was just joking, why did you take it seriously?" He raised his hand and looked at the white photos that Jiang Yage sent him on WeChat. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He never dreamed that this woman would dare to send it. A casual joke turned out to be a prophecy. Jiang Yage was completely different from the celebrity in his mind. He had been trying very hard to keep a distance from this troublesome person. Today, he finally had a stroke in his brain. He said that the photos she sent were too small, but deep down, he didn't really mean it. He just felt that he hadn't talked to her for a long time and was just joking with her. He only thought that the other party was a famous superstar in the country. Even if she was interested in him, why would she send such indecent photos to others? "Aren't you afraid that I'll sell it for money? Or are you not afraid that I'll lose my phone? Aren't you afraid that you'll fail miserably? So this is impossible. There's no reason. But now it really happened. What should I do now? I've already seen it, and I feel like I'm really going to be trapped this time." Chen Guang narrowed his eyes. He didn't want to look at the photos on the phone, but he couldn't help but sneak a peek. This figure is really good. There's a line of words below. F***CK, it's been so long, and I didn't notice it at all. How shameful, how shameful. I gathered my courage for a long time before I dared to take this photo. Do you like it? Remember to delete it after you see it. Although it didn't take a photo of my face, it won't affect me much even if I lose it. But if someone else sees it, you'll suffer a big loss. I like you so much. Chen Guang thought that he had seen through Jiang Yage's bottom line. It was only at this moment that he realized he was wrong. This woman has no bottom line at all. He remembered the first time they met. This so-called big star's evil eyes kept drifting around his underwear when he was almost naked. He also remembered the woman's words before he left the set. It was purely to tease him. "I like you." It was also that time when he drove away to get rid of these 2 people and entered the Racing God training ground. Later, when he was about to take the Patek Philippe at Disney, this girl threw the watch into her chest and asked him to reach in to take it. Celebrities these days, artists these days, their moral integrity is really broken all over the place. "In order to tease me, you paid too much. Do you mean that you'll be happy if I take advantage of you? Jiang Yage, this girl is sick. It's all right. And she's seriously sick. Hopefully, her family will find out that she's insane and seek medical treatment as soon as possible." While deleting their conversation, Chen Guang checked his phone to make sure that he didn't leave any meaningless messages. He felt relieved, but at the same time, he also felt a little regretful. After thinking about it, he decided that he still had to send her a reply. It didn't matter if this benefit was poisonous or if he had fallen into her trap. She had already sent it to this extent. If he still didn't reply, it would be too much. Sister Jiang Yage, I was scared by you. It's okay. That's enough. Thank you, I'm scared. Chapter 346. In the end, he replied like this because he really didn't know what kind of expression he should use to face this tough big shot who teased him with her moral integrity. If it weren't for the fact that he had taken her Patek Philippe and felt that he owed her, Chen Guang really didn't want to have any more contact with Jiang Yage. He always felt that she was too unreliable, and if he was not careful, he would be dragged into the mud pit and be doomed eternally. However, thanks to her, he could indeed sleep soundly and peacefully tonight. Smelling the pungent and sour smell coming from the bed, Chen Guang thought so. After getting up early the next morning and going to the hospital to greet his mother and old man Kenner, Chen Guang slipped out early and took a taxi to the hotel to find Zhu Jifa. The sooner the money was transferred, the sooner he could feel at ease. He always felt that Liuli was ready to make a move at any time to show her power as a God-Emperor-level financial steward. How bad could she be? Chen Guang really couldn't imagine. In short, he just guessed it as tragic as possible. I hope she can leave me some change? Transferring 10 million yuan was indeed not something that could be done with just a few words. Even if it was a private transfer, UBS, which was famous for its security, would never allow something like 10 million yuan to be transferred easily. After spending the whole morning, Chen Guang, accompanied by the manager of the only branch of UBS in the 5 capitals, signed countless documents, and even had a video chat with the head office of UBS and the person in charge of Asia Pacific who had helped him apply for this card. Finally, the money was transferred to Zhu Jifa's account. Chen Guang was tormented, but it was not over yet. Zhu Jifa took out a large pile of documents, forced him to read them word by word, and signed a pile of documents on the spot. He thought it was easy for him. I am rich and I don't lack money. I will give it to you. We are brothers in this life. If I can't even trust Zhu Jifa, Chen Guang feels that I have lived in vain. Perhaps normal people would think that his thinking was childish. Between brothers, the biggest test of human nature in this world is money, not to mention such a large amount of money. Actually, it wasn't that he wasn't sensible, and it wasn't that he didn't understand the schemes involved. There were some people that he could scheme against, and there were some things that he was not so easy to talk to. However, when it came to Zhu Jifa, the two of them had been very good to each other since they were young. Chen Guang did not want to mess with him at all. However, in Chen Guang's eyes, when Zhu Jifa had millions of dollars, he didn't even bat an eyelid. It was as if he had given Rina to him for free. When his car was wrecked, he didn't even bat an eyelid and transferred $20,000 to Chen Guang to repair it. He didn't mention anything else. When he had the opportunity to set up the factory, he was also thinking about helping her shoulder the loan for the kidney transplant surgery that might exist. He would even help to pay for 5 or 600,000 yuan. Where else could he find such a brother? Now that he had 180 million in his pocket, it was completely reasonable for him to give Zhu Jifa 10 million for emergency treatment. However, although he thought this way, Zhu Jifa also completely understood his feelings, and he was extremely touched in his heart. However, Zhu Jifa was no longer a student. Although he was only 3 years older than Chen Guang, he had been taking over the factory ever since he graduated from high school, so he couldn't be willful. Therefore, even if Chen Guang repeatedly rejected him, he still had to clarify the contract. If something really happened and Chen Guang lost all of his 10 million with this contract, he was willing to give the entire factory's land to Chen Guang as compensation without any objections. If something really happened, even if the entire factory became Chen Guang's, and Zhu Jifa himself became a worker from the boss, he actually didn't care. Anyway, as long as I have food to eat, I don't have to worry about not being able to live, right? If I really became a pauper, Lu Xiaohong would look down on me even more and divorce me. Who knows, it might even be the second spring of my life. With this thought in mind, he insisted on this clause firmly in the contract. Damn it, don't tell me you really want the factory to collapse and then let Lu Xiaohong dump you? Chen Guang was seen through by this guy. Zhu Jifa only laughed mysteriously. Don't worry so much. Anyway, you have to sign it. Otherwise, I will tell your dad about you racing. F***ck you win. In the eyes of ordinary people, the financing process was considered a huge sum of money, but the two brothers just chatted idly like this. Zhu Jifa still had to continue going to the bank. It would be a waste not to take the 10 million that Duanwen had promised. Hu Ling drove the Rena straight away, while Chen Guang took a taxi to the direction of the 4S shops. It was time to buy a car. After driving the Rena for almost a year, he really couldn't bear to suddenly change it. However, he didn't lack money anymore. If he didn't reward himself before Lioli lost all the money, he might not be able to get the Rena one day. This brother wants to spend money. Spend money like crazy. This brother today is rich. Willful. To put it in a more sophisticated way, this is called having a daughter at home. Acting according to one's heart. Looking at the countless 4S shops around him, Chen Guang couldn't help but feel a little lost. Only when he arrived here did he realize that he didn't even think about what car he wanted to buy before rushing here. He was getting a little carried away. If he had known this would happen, he would have found someone to come with him. That way, they could at least give him some reference. This was a little awkward. A few days ago, he sat in Zhu Jifa's BMW 5, and it felt pretty good. However, that was just a momentary thought. Now, he felt that something was wrong. He was a student after all. If he drove a BMW in school all day long, he might be talked about behind his back every day. Look, it's that pretentious guy who drives a BMW around school all day long. It's as if he's afraid that people don't know he's rich. Therefore, after thinking about it for a while, he decided to go to the Mercedes-Benz 4S shop in front of him first. Actually, whether it was a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz, there was no essential difference at all. Chen Guang put his hands in his trouser pockets and ran to the 4S shop's entrance. The few salespeople at the entrance glanced at him and then ignored him. They continued to face the outside, waiting for their prey at any time. The salespeople at the 4S shop generally worked like this. Excluding the situation where old customers came in, every time a new batch of customers came in, a salesperson would immediately go up to receive them. This salesperson would naturally get a commission for every successful deal. Of course, this business definitely had to be negotiated. It was common for people to have a few unsuccessful deals. Other than that, you had to receive a batch of customers first. It didn't matter if you were successful or not. Even if the person you received chatted with you for 2 or 3 minutes, they would run away. Sorry, next, you have to line up. You have to wait for everyone else to be received before it's your turn in the next round. Unless you were a relative of the manager or a gold medal salesperson, you might have some privileges. However, regular ordinary salespeople had to follow this rule. Otherwise, if someone came in, wouldn't it be a joke if a swarm of people rushed up to fight their own people to steal their business? When Chen Guang entered the door, there were 5 salespeople who were idle. There were 2 men and 3 women. Of course, the men weren't as handsome as Chen Guang, but the 3 women were really not bad. They were tall, dressed fashionably, and had exquisite makeup. Their faces were 7 out of 10, and coupled with 10 out of 10 makeup, they were definitely 8.5 out of 10 beauties. It was a man's turn in the line, but he really didn't want to waste his precious round on this young man who was obviously here to see something strange. The other 4 people in the line behind him had the same idea. They weren't blind. They also had to earn money to eat. The manager also turned a blind eye to this phenomenon and was too lazy to care. Of course, our shop service is first class, but our service is only for our customers or potential customers. For a young man like you, you're just here to see what's going on. If we really sent someone to follow you, you would feel uncomfortable, right? Look, how considerate we are. Chapter 347. The salesperson couldn't be blamed for not recognizing Mount Tai. It was a hot day, and Qin Guang was wearing a simple t-shirt, a sports bag, a pair of loose Hawaiian shorts, and a pair of leather shoes. Speaking of his outfit, he had bought it when his family's hot pot restaurant had just opened. He could barely be considered a second-generation rich guy. His outfit didn't look like much, but it actually cost around $1,000. It was definitely not the shabby and shameful kind, but it was far from noble and elegant. The most fundamental reason why the salesperson ignored him was that he looked too young, and he came alone, so the salesperson thought that he was purely a tourist who came to the Mercedes-Benz shop to see rare things. The Mercedes-Benz 4S shop really received a lot of similar, aspiring tourists every day. Every year, there were dozens of young talents who stood in this shop and looked at the dazzling lineup of luxury cars, swearing in their hearts that they must buy one, if not 100. Some people had already done it, and some were still living in a dream. As for Qin Guang, others thought that he was living in a dream, but in fact, he could really buy any car he wanted. If he was unhappy, he could buy one and smash another. But no one paid attention to him. In the huge sales hall, there were a few other groups of people scattered around. Among these people, there was a salesperson who was as humble as a servant with a genial smile on his face. His saliva was flying everywhere, and he was in high spirits, introducing to the customers who were obviously successful people how great their cars were, how affordable the recent prices were, and how great the promotional activities were. He told them that there would be no more shops like this if they missed out on this opportunity. Don't hesitate, it's now. Place an order immediately and buy the car of your dreams. In this way, you can become a noble Mercedes-Benz owner, join the Mercedes-Benz China Club, and enjoy the supreme service. That was probably what it meant. These salespeople were tall and handsome, and the women were young and beautiful. They were all very eloquent. If the customers were single men, some of the female salespeople would even flirt with them when introducing the car models. It might be an exaggeration to say that they could throw themselves into someone's arms at any time, but if they really had feelings for each other, it could really develop into a special friendship full of sentiments. However, this had nothing to do with Qin Guang. As the cold wind blew, Qin Guang felt a chill around him. There were many people here, but why did the old man feel lonely and cold? He looked back at the 5 salespeople who were as steady as Mount Tai at the entrance. They were still staring at the door, completely unaware of Qin Guang's resentful gaze. I also want pretty girls to flirt with me. If you make me happy, I'll give you a 100,000 yuan tip every minute. Damn it, you bunch of fools who have eyes but fail to recognize Mount Tai. Standing here was a humanoid ATM with a maximum withdrawal limit of 173 million. There must be something wrong with the way I opened the door today. Let the old man make a post on Weibo to calm down. Just wait to be drowned by the saliva of my 800,000, oh no, 900,000 fans. Since no one was paying attention to him, he simply found a rattan chair and sat down. Well, normally, at this time, there should be someone coming to pour him a cup of tea, but there was still no one. Posting on Weibo, I'm just so narrow-minded, I'll scold you bastards to death. The salespeople of Wujing Baolong Mercedes-Benz 4S store are all idiots. I've been standing here foolishly for more than an hour, and no one is paying attention to me. This service attitude is terrible. There was a screenshot of his phone showing his account balance. Of course, anything that might reveal his personal information had been censored. All that was left was a digit that he was too lazy to count. It was a simple sentence and a simple picture, but it perfectly illustrated the grievance and sadness of a tycoon who had fallen from grace and was bullied by a dog. Of course, an hour was his appropriate artistic treatment. After all, he had only been here for less than 5 minutes. But if he didn't exaggerate, how could he attract attention? This was the basic business accomplishment of an internet celebrity. As for the few people who knew the details of his account, he had informed them to ignore his Weibo account. Although they didn't know what he planned to do, it wasn't a big deal if he said so. Yesterday, he had just set up a Weibo VIP account. Now, Qin Guang could open individual Weibo comments. He decisively opened it and was delighted. In just a few minutes, there were thousands of replies below. Brother Superman finally let me comment. I'm Brother Superman's #1 fan. This was the most useless. No, I bought my car at Wujing Baolong. They were very enthusiastic, and the salesgirl was strong. She had a good figure and a strong fighting spirit. I was almost tossed to death last night. This King winner of life came to slap his face. Brother Superman, this account balance, please accept my kneel. Do you still need a leg accessory? Friend, I'm available at your beck and call. Brother Superman, I'm your die-hard fan. I've liked you for more than 10 years. I want to give birth to your children. Come with me, don't talk. Hubby, why did you go to buy a car alone? Wait for me. These replies were much more pleasing to the eye. Their healing power was max. Of course, there were also some that were not so pleasant to the ear. Most of them were scolding him for being a liar who relied on stunts to make videos to gain popularity. Of course, this time he posted an overweight mosaic showing off his wealth was even more ridiculous. What era was this? Who would have 173 million in their personal account? Who had a brain? Even if it was not a troll but a true fan of his, they only thought that he was joking and selling jokes. They did not take it seriously. What a joke! This was the logic of a popular person having a lot of controversies. However, Chen Guang ignored these trolls. His retina automatically filtered them, so there was no need to explain. The few salesgirls who were waiting at the door became lively. The prettiest salesgirl seemed to be a Weibo expert. Whenever she had nothing to do, she would go back and forth on Weibo. So, yesterday, that almighty Superman posted on Weibo again. She screamed excitedly and looked at the screen of the phone happily. The few people beside her also moved their faces over. Obviously, these fashionable salesgirls were keeping up with the times and were familiar with every hot topic on Weibo. What did he say? Another new video? Then, the group of salesgirls was stunned. CK, Wujing Baolong Mercedes-Benz 4S store. Wasn't that referring to themselves? What the hell? The group of people looked at each other, their minds blank. Who would stand there foolishly for an hour and ignore them? If there was really someone who ignored them, it could only be that young man from just now, right? He had only been here for less than 5 minutes. The manager was also attracted by the 5 salesgirls' movements. He came over with a sullen face. What are you looking at? Let me see. The salesgirls knew that they were in trouble. They handed over their phones with bitter faces. When the manager saw it, he was instantly enraged. His face turned green. Chen Guang secretly chuckled. Who asked you to ignore me? You're in trouble, aren't you? Hee hee hee. Chapter 348. The manager immediately scolded. Who is this guy? Isn't this too much? How can our service be considered bad? It's written in the novels that when the male lead barges in with a shabby appearance, he will be surrounded by at least 3 salespeople the moment he enters the shop, let alone standing in the shop for an hour. A singer in charge of despising and ridiculing. How can a pauper like you deserve to come to our store? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Then the second person has to jump out and tell them to get lost. Don't dirty our noble and elegant floor tiles. Their attitude must be arrogant and their nostrils must be 45 degrees to the sky, or else they will lose their imposing manner. Then the third person jumps out and is responsible for chasing them away. Their methods must be fierce and the force of their shoving cannot be small. Just when the weak male lead is about to be pushed out of the door, he suddenly explodes. The male lead waved his hand and threw out a Centurion black card. You bunch of idiots who don't recognize Mount Tai. Look at what I have in my hand. All of us salespeople have been slapped in the face, and that's not all. Suddenly, a rich man who appears on TV every day popped up. Big Brother Chow, why are you here? Did these idiots make you angry? Blah 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 blah. Then I will be responsible for apologizing and licking the boss's boots. Later on, all 5 of you will be fired. Do you understand? Damn, this manager is so cunning. I thought you are one of us, but you are playing tricks with me. Since you have already exposed me, how can I still play? Eavesdropping on their conversation, Chen Guang's face darkened. This manager is definitely one of us. He is an experienced web novel reader. It is impossible to guard against his tricks. The salespeople thought they were going to be scolded, but now, they were laughing their heads off. If we salespeople are really as stupid as what is written in the books, we would have starved to death a long time ago. Even if they are dressed shabbily, they are not beggars. There is no need to chase them away. Furthermore, didn't you buy some takeaway for that beggar who almost fainted from hunger last week? Manager, you taught us to be a person before we can do anything. We all understand that. A male salesperson laughed and said, the invisible licking was the most lethal. The manager was also a layman, so he felt very comfortable being patted. Alright. You guys should also be more careful. Don't really become the kind of idiots that are written in novels. Although we are all nameless supporting characters, and as salespeople, we live in the novel to lower our intelligence so that the protagonist can show off and slap his face. But even if we are to be props, we have to be props with brains and standards. He had to adjust his working state and not give others a chance to blackmail him. Since he had been called, he had to do a good job. Although we don't know who this almighty Superman is and why he wants to defame us, we have to learn from this. Remember, even if they don't look like buyers at first glance, you have to give them a warm smile and show some passion for work. If this matter really brings a negative impact to the company, the few of you will really be out of luck. Cheer up. The manager gave them a carrot first, and sure enough, he gave them another carrot. The 5 salespeople were so scared that they trembled all over, and they hurriedly straightened their expressions. Chen Guang looked at the group of salespeople's darkened faces from afar. He felt secretly pleased, but at the same time, he felt a pain in the ass. The opposite manager did not play by the rules. He had completely seen through his tricks and weakened his pleasure. Forget it. I've met an expert. I can't afford to offend him, but can I just hide? He decisively got up and prepared to leave. If they don't let me have a good time, don't even think about earning a single cent from my pocket. Just as he reached the door, he was stopped by someone. It was not the group of salespeople who were still in a daze, but an unexpected person. His counselor, Zhuangxi. Chen Guang, why are you here? Zhuangxi looked at him with a face full of surprise, and excitedly came forward. Chen Guang was also stunned. He had not seen this plump and beautiful counselor for a long time. He smiled happily and said, I came to look at the car. I returned my Rena to them, and I plan to buy one for myself. You know what I mean. Zhuangxi was also one of the live audience who had witnessed him showing disdain for all the heroes in Xianxia. She was well aware of how rich he was. She patted his shoulder and said, I don't care what car you want to change. Although you are not short of money now, you should still save some money. You have money to buy a coffin instead of spending it? Chen Guang chuckled. He was worried that no one would accompany him to look at the car, and he could not make up his mind. Teacher Zhuo suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and he was extremely happy and refreshed. Cici? Who's this? Your student? As the two of them were chatting, a man in a suit and leather shoes with shoulder-length hair came over and asked Zhuangxi. He had the aura of an artist. Zhuangxi frowned and moved closer to Chen Guang, quietly putting some distance between the two of them. Zhou Long, haven't I told you many times? Don't call me Cici, it sounds awkward. This is Chen Guang, friend. When she introduced Chen Guang, Su Tao had no idea what she was thinking. She actually didn't mention that Chen Guang was her student. On the other side, before Zhuangxi introduced Chen Guang, the man in the suit, Zhou Long, was sizing up Chen Guang with a scrutinizing gaze. He was a rather tall boy who looked very young, and his clothes were not very tasteful. Needless to say, he was the standard poor guy. This was the first impression that Zhou Long gave to Chen Guang. Chen Guang was also sizing up Zhou Long. His hair was combed very neatly, and with the help of hair wax, it seemed to stick to his scalp, as neat as a military parade. On such a hot day, this guy was actually wearing a suit. Did he not feel uncomfortable? There was also a faint scent of men's cologne on his body. Coupled with his slightly hostile gaze, Chen Guang also gave his first impression. A pretentious man, most likely plotting against Zhuangxi. Teacher Zhuo did not say that he was her student, but her friend? This was a bit too much. Just now, when he came over, he deliberately closed the distance between him and Teacher Zhuo, and then Teacher Zhuo avoided him as if he was a fly? At this moment, Chen Guang instantly understood Zhuo Jingxi's thoughts and Zhou Long's thoughts. Brother, why didn't I realize that I was so quick-witted before? She definitely wanted me to help her get rid of the fly. Seeing injustice on the road, I'll help. This small favor I'll help. On the other side, Zhou Long instantly withdrew his hostility, and a warm smile appeared on his face. He reached out his hand. Hello little Chen, my name is Zhou Long, a professor at Dechuan Conservatory of Music. I teach piano to students. Sis. Zhou Long. If you call me Cici again, I'm leaving. Whatever car you want to buy has nothing to do with me. Before Zhou Long could finish speaking, Zhuo Jingxi angrily rebuked him. Her face was red, and it looked like she was really angry. Zhou Long could not help but feel a little embarrassed. Sorry, sir. I got used to calling you that when I was young, and I forgot to change it. Please don't mind me. Chen Guang watched the two of them quarrel with interest. This Zhou Long was quite interesting. Even when he apologized to Zhuo Jingxi, he did not forget to show off his relationship with Teacher Zhuo in front of him. They had known each other since they were young. How amazing, how amazing. But it's useless. Look at your annoying appearance now. Even I feel embarrassed for you. On the other side, Zhou Long did not dare to provoke Zhuo Jingxi again. Instead, he turned his head and targeted Chen Guang. He took out an exquisite business card from his pocket and handed it to Chen Guang with one hand. He continued to smile and said, Little Chen, this is my business card. May I know where you work? Chen Guang took the business card and did not look at it carefully before putting it in his pocket. He was already being polite enough not to throw it away on the spot. You're too high for your face. I'm still a student. Chapter 349. Zhuo Jingxi, who was beside them, was also anxious. Just now, she had said that Chen Guang was a friend, and Zhuo Long had immediately started probing. It would be awkward if they were exposed. Chen Guang's mind raced. He knew that he had to help Teacher Zhuo chase away the flies today. He could not afford to lose face, so he grinned. It's fine if I'm not high up. I'm just doing some business without any capital. It's not elegant, so I didn't say it out loud. As he said that, his left hand smoothly reached to the side and grabbed Zhuo Jingxi's waist, pulling her into his arms. He grinned. Actually, it doesn't matter where I'm high up. What's important is that I'm little Cici's boyfriend. Mr. Zhou, why don't you go somewhere cool? I'm not in the mood to waste time with this pretentious man. If you say another word, I'll immediately slap you in the face with my UBS black card and make you kneel in front of me. When he received the business card just now, he had seen clearly that this Zhuo Long was really a professor at a music school. He was so young, yet he was already a professor. At first glance, he seemed to be very good. Perhaps he was even a slightly famous pianist. How amazing! But I'm sorry, the person standing in front of you is a 200 million nouveau riche younger than you. Chen Guang's action not only shocked Zhuo Long, but Zhuo Jingxi was also stiff and at a loss. She was so nervous that she did not know where to put her hands. Zhuo Jingxi was about to cry. Chen Guang, how did you react so quickly? I just had that idea and did not communicate it to you, but not only did you understand, you even put it into practice so quickly. But you're making too much of a commotion. You have to take it one bite at a time, okay? Oh no. Suddenly, a middle-aged woman jumped out from the side. She looked at Chen Guang and Zhuo Jingxi as if it was the end of the world. She then turned to look at Zhuo Long, whose face was so dark that ink could be ground. Little C, what's going on? Who is this guy? Zhuo Jingxi's voice sounded like she was about to cry. Mom, this is my friend. He's just joking. Dad, listen to me. He's not serious at all and always likes to joke around. Dad, calm down. Before Zhuo Jingxi could finish her sentence, she abruptly broke free from Chen Guang's embrace and waved at the middle-aged man who was about to rush over with a straight face. Holy shit! Chen Guang was so scared that he peed his pants. Wash the motor. Teacher Zhuo, you should have said that your parents were here too. This was awkward. If her parents weren't here, Chen Guang would have beaten Zhou Long to the ground if necessary. But now, this feeling was very strange. He was flirting with someone else's daughter, and as her parents, he felt like he had to lower his head in front of them. It took a lot of effort to convince Zhuo Jingxi's parents that Qin Guang was only joking. Of course, when the two elders saw that Qin Guang's expression wasn't any better, they only felt that Zhuo Jingxi's friend was really not serious. This was great. Not only did Zhou Long ask what Qin Guang did for a living, but Zhuo Jingxi's parents also joined in the line. Qin Guang was in so much pain that he almost wanted to turn around and run away. But looking at Zhuo Jingxi's pitiful look, he couldn't bear to leave her alone. In the end, he still managed to pull out a slightly more reliable identity. That's right, Qin Guang bragged that he was a glorious web novelist and that Zhuo Jingxi was a pen pal. He really hit the nail on the head. A few years ago, when Zhuo Jingxi was an undergraduate, she wrote online novels out of interest. There were all kinds of literary characters and all kinds of bitterness. She probably only managed to write about 200,000 to 300,000 words before she threw herself into the Mariana Trench. At that time, she even excitedly showed off to her parents that she wanted to write a female version of Struggle and adapt it into a television series. It would set records in the ratings and from then on, reach the peak of her life. Although she failed in the end, it was precisely because of this past that Qin Guang's made-up identity matched with Zhuo Jingxi's past. Of course, Zhou Long gave him a business card, but Qin Guang didn't have one. Why would a lousy writer need a business card? It was just that his identity as a web novelist had a slight aftereffect. Zhuo Jingxi's parents looked at him with even more displeasure. A web novelist who shut himself in his room all day long meant that he was a homebody and a useless person. Looking at his flirtatious manner just now, it made him seem even more unreliable. If it wasn't for Zhuo Jingxi's mother would have already given Qin Guang the title of stinky hooligan and little pervert. Qin Guang also had a face full of tears. He didn't expect web novelists to have no human rights. If he had known, he would have said something else. It would have been better to get closer to Lu Fei's Lu Chemical Industry and say that he was CEO Lu's secretary. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Zhuo Jingxi also sensed that the situation was not good. Mom, Dad, don't be like this. Writing web novels doesn't steal or rob. If you work hard, you can also change your life. Look at Tang, Qin Guang nodded. Third young Master Tang. He thought to himself, thank third young Master Qi. Every time we are looked down upon by others, we can always use you to show off. Although you earn 100 million a year, and that lousy guy earns tens of thousands a year, no matter how big the difference is, we are all doing the same thing, right? Zhuo Jingxi's mother was indeed a tough middle-aged woman. She didn't have the slightest bit of goodwill toward Qin Guang. She rolled her eyes. Forget it. There are millions of web novelists in China. How many of them are third young master? Your friend is obviously up to no good. Don't interact with him in the future. She used the words, up to no good, very well. Not only did she have literary talent, but she also scolded people. Not only did she not lower her social status, but she also pointed out the fact that this kid was a stinky hooligan. She really didn't leave any face for Qin Guang. Qin Guang spat in his heart. Without another word, he turned around and planned to run. He wasn't someone who could pinch his nose and serve others well. He definitely couldn't stick his warm face to someone's cold butt. Forget it. Today, Zhou Long had teacher Zhuo's parents as bodyguards. The old man was a wise man who knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. It was better to run first. Tonight, he would find out where the piano player lived. When he got back, he would give every one of his fingers the Qilin arm overclocked vibration service. He would take drastic measures to deal with him. Zhou Long watched from the side as Zhuo Jingxi's parents protected him. He was indescribably pleased. F***ck, we didn't even have a disagreement when we met, and you F***king made a move on my fiancé. If it wasn't for the fact that you're quite strong and I might not be able to beat you, I would have F***king beaten you up. You actually told me to go away. Little lousy writer, why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? You don't even dare to say what kind of book you wrote. You don't even need to think to know that it's one of those vulgar, ambiguous, and borderline novels on Chidian. And you even said that you're doing a business without any capital? You need capital to shut yourself at home and write web novels, okay? You don't want electricity? You don't want internet fees? You don't want living expenses? In this world, those who can do a business without capital are all people with great means and strong connections, okay? That definitely doesn't include a lousy writer like you. Zhuo Jingxi saw that Chen Guang was so angry that he wanted to leave, and thought that he was really angry. She first stomped her feet, and with unprecedented courage, she shouted at Zhuo Jingxi's mother, who was still rolling her eyes, "Mom, how can you be like this? He's my friend. If you continue to be like this, you too will accompany Zhou Long to buy a car today. This has nothing to do with me." After shouting, she turned around and chased after Chen Guang. Faced with her sudden outburst, Zhuo Jingxi's parents looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. Chapter 350. Her daughter, Zhuo Jingxi, had always had a gentle temperament since she was young. She had almost never been angry. Even though the two elders knew that she had always been against Zhou Long, as her parents, she still endured it submissively under their insistence. Even though she had been fighting and delaying, she had only done it through crazily studying, taking the postgraduate entrance exams, taking the PhD, and now participating in the administration of the school to prove herself. Although she was determined to fight, her methods were gentle. Just like today, before coming here, she had clearly said no less than 100 times that she was not married to Zhou Long, nor did she want to marry him. She did not acknowledge their fiancé relationship at all. If he wanted to buy a car, he could buy it. It had nothing to do with her. She did not want to accompany him at all. But in the end, the two elders still dragged her here, and the atmosphere was barely harmonious until she met this web novel writer. Although Zhuo Jingxi had always been cold to Zhou Long, at least she had been forcing herself to smile. But she actually shouted at us just now. You shouted at us for a so-called friend who held your waist and took advantage of you in front of your fiancé? Do you know how much effort we put into matchmaking you and Zhou Long? Do you know that after marrying Zhou Long, you will be able to live a rich life without worries for the rest of your life? He was in the arts and had achieved Zhou Long's current achievements before the age of 30. He was a professor at a music academy, had won an international award, and was now a well-known master in the country. A son-in-law like this was more reliable than a government official of the same age. As long as he could still play the piano, he would never be short of money. Why don't you know that we are doing this for your own good? Zhuo Long was also at a loss. He was 4 years older than Zhuo Jingxi and had watched her grow up. He had always regarded her as his most important sister. Even after he became a rising star in the domestic piano world and was known as the youngest master in the country, he still felt that the one he wanted to spend the rest of his life with the most was still Zhuo Jingxi. I care about you so much, why did you reject me like this? He had also seen Zhuo Jingxi's crazy work, and he knew what Zhuo Jingxi was after. Wasn't it because she wanted to prove herself in front of her parents? She wanted them to understand that without him, Zhuo Jingxi, could still live a good and happy life. Originally, Zhou Long did not care about this. It was not easy to make a name for oneself in the school's administrative system. However, Zhou Long panicked when he heard that she had been selected as an advanced counselor this semester and had also become a member of the Youth League Committee of the college. Although I also feel disgusted by that Zhou guy. Since he's so good at the piano, he's quite rich, and he likes you, why don't you agree to it? I think it's pretty good. Zhuo Jingxi glared at him fiercely. Don't you ever say something like that again. I'm so angry. Just because he likes me, I have to like him? Just because he's rich, I have to live with him? Then aren't you quite rich too? You're richer than him? You just have to shout and I'll live with you? Chen Guang smacked his lips and said seriously, that's possible. Zhuo Jingxi was taken aback by his serious expression. Don't take what I said seriously, okay? I want to live my life with people, not with money. Besides, I'll be graduating next year. I still want to continue my studies. I don't want to get married at all. I'm not studying PhD just to hide from Zhou Long. I really want to become an outstanding environmental researcher. I want to do more for our country, no, for humanity. The pollution is too serious now. Sooner or later, humanity will lose its last piece of pure land. Chen Guang was shocked by her righteous words. He felt that Zhuo Jingxi's face was glowing like a saint's. Why are you looking at me like that? Great man. I've become your fan, Teacher Zhuo. In the end, Chen Guang did not leave and was pulled back by Zhuo Jingxi. Her goal was very simple. She really wanted to use Chen Guang to help her block Zhou Long. Her reason was also very simple. Chen Guang knew cars very well. Didn't Zhou Long want to buy a car? I'll find a real master to help you choose one. In fact, Chen Guang didn't have much research on these basic models, but he had mingled with Hong Kong's Golden Wrench Jie for a few days, not to mention that he was an invincible racing god. So it wasn't a problem for him to come up with some nonsense to fool others. Chapter 351. Even though Mr. and Mrs. Zhuo were extremely displeased with Chen Guang, they had already forced him to flip out because of her writer friend, so they decided to hold it in. The person who was the most displeased was, of course, Zhuo Long. Unfortunately, Zhuo Jingxi had already said it out loud. If you don't give face to my friend and make things difficult for me, then don't buy this stupid car today. This has nothing to do with me anyway. Chen Guang's appearance not only pleased Zhuo Jingxi but also disgusted Mr. and Mrs. Zhuo as well as Mr. and Mrs. Zhuo. Even if Zhou Long could not hold it in anymore, he could only stare viciously at Chen Guang's back. A lousy writer dares to steal my woman? Fine, since you're so shameless, I'll show you the difference between us today. Zhuo Jingxi is mine. No one can take her away from me. Even if she really falls for you, you can only watch as I get her. You pathetic loser. Xiao Zhou, don't be angry. Xiao Si is probably under too much pressure from work and is a little angry. After you guys get married, we'll make sure she cuts off all contact with these useless friends. You've watched Xiao Si grow up, you know she's not that kind of girl. Mrs. Zhuo comforted him. Zhou Long nodded. Auntie, I'm fine. I understand. Zhou Long thought to himself, I really don't need you to point this out. I'm still staring at Zhuo Jingxi, isn't it because I, who have read countless people, can tell at a glance that she's still a virgin? Zhou Long thought to himself, you really don't need to point this out. This family drama was witnessed by the salespeople at the entrance of the 4S store. As expected of a big store that prided itself on top-notch service. When the group of people returned, the 5 of them still had that super professional sweet smile on their faces, completely forgetting that they were about to hold their stomachs from laughing so hard just now. It was still the trendy, tall saleswoman who was the sharpest and smartest. Before the 4 of them got close, she pretended to be pleasantly surprised. Aren't you the great pianist Mr. Zhou who played a song on the provincial station the day before yesterday? The winner of this year's Vienna Music Prize. Although Zhou Long had been hearing similar words recently, this was the most pleasing to the ear. He turned around and pretended to smile awkwardly at Zhuo Jingxi and her family. I'm really sorry. I've just made a name for myself, but I get recognized everywhere. It's quite troublesome. As he spoke, he discreetly glanced at Chen Guang, who was standing next to Zhuo Jingxi, expressionlessly with dead fish eyes. He raised his eyebrows smugly. That smell and that meaning were self-evident. I'm a piano master that everyone knows. Who do you think you are? Chen Guang didn't even want to look at him. In short, he was going to wait for him to jump to a higher place, and then he would ruthlessly pull him down. You won't die from the fall. Who didn't have money? What's a master pianist? I've raced for a few days and earned 200 million, okay? Zhuo Jingxi saw Zhou Long's actions clearly. If it was in the past, she might have felt embarrassed and distressed. After all, Zhou Long was too successful and dazzling. But why did she feel that Zhou Long looked like a clown today? Chen Guang was also here to buy a car. With his current net worth, there was no way he would buy a car of the level of Rina. Thinking about how Chen Guang had called him a lousy writer, Zhuo Jingxi understood what he was thinking. This guy was really bad. On the other side, Zhou Long had decisively chosen the smartest and tall beauty. The man who was originally in the line looked at the pile of people with a bitter smile. It was not uncommon for customers to choose salespeople. As long as it wasn't too excessive, the manager would usually not interfere. The workplace was heartless. A moment of carelessness could lead to a trap. Zhou Long walked at the front. As he made eye contact with the saleswoman, he turned around and smiled at the crowd. "See, Xianxia, uncle and auntie, come and help me." Even though Qin Guang had casually proven that he knew cars, Zhou Long still chose to ignore him. Xianxia's parents walked quickly. They felt that the saleswoman and Zhou Long were too familiar with each other. Xianxia walked slowly with Qin Guang. When the crowd was a little further away, Xianxia asked, "Oh right, you're buying a car today, right?" Qin Guang knew what she was thinking. "Yes, but I haven't decided what to buy yet. Let's see what this show guy wants. Anyway, it'll be 3 times more expensive." Xianxia was shocked. Don't be so wasteful. Even if you have money, you can't spend it like this." Qin Guang sighed. "I have a very special reason. You won't understand. In any case, I can't buy a cheap car." Xianxia saw that he had made up his mind. Even though she felt that it was a little inappropriate, she remembered that he had almost 200 million in his pocket. It would not be too much even if he bought a Ferrari. Since she couldn't persuade him, she would just let him be. The group followed the enthusiastic saleswoman and began to stroll around the store. Facing real customers, this girl was really going all out. She talked non-stop all the way, not even stopping to take a sip of water. Zhou Long knew Xianxia well. When he found an opportunity, he asked, "Jingxi, what do you think of this car? Do you like it? Buy it if you like it." Or rather, "Jingxi, I think this car can be used as a wedding car. We'll definitely have to borrow a Bentley from my friend for the wedding car, but it'll be more meaningful if we mix our own car with the motorcade. I think the E-Series is good. Even though the C-Series looks young and fashionable, it's a little too low class. It doesn't suit your temperament, Cici. Don't call me Cici." "Okay, I won't." Xianxia was annoyed by Zhou Long. She turned around to look for Qin Guang for help, but saw that he was being held back by her mother. She felt helpless. Mother Zhou smiled insincerely and asked, "Xiao Qin, how much do you earn in a year from writing novels?" Qin Guang grinned. "I just lost a book and dropped it. The new book hasn't hit the shelves yet. I reckon that when it does, there'll be at least 1,000 subscriptions. I can earn about 10,000 yuan. Xiao Qin, your income is not good enough. Look at Zhou Long. Other television stations pay him at least 30,000 yuan to appear on their programs." Qin Guang secretly rolled his eyes. Nonsense. At Zhou Long's level, what kind of master was he? On the surface, it looked like the television station paid him tens of thousands of yuan to appear on their programs. God knew how much money he had secretly given away just to appear on their programs. "Although I don't know much about it, I know my own people. I can get 100,000 yuan for nothing just by working in the production team, okay?" The real estate company also invites him to perform a song or two from time to time. One song costs at least 10,000 yuan, and it only takes half an hour, Mother Zhou said again. That was the truth. Qin Guang shrugged. "Auntie, if you have something to say, please say it directly." Mother Zhou gave him a headache. "I just said it directly, then you turned around and walked away. Now you want me to say it directly again? Did he drive off because of me again?" Chapter 352. Mother Zhou was also on the verge of breaking down. "Why don't you have any self-awareness? Can't you just find an excuse to get out of here? Auntie will give you a piece of advice. You're still young. Before you succeed in your career, you should focus on your career." Mother Zhou was still quick-witted. Even though she was cursing him inwardly, she still spoke as if she was an elder and advised Qin Guang with good intentions. In a different situation, in a different context, her words would really be the golden advice of an elder. But in this situation, it didn't feel right. Although Qin Guang wasn't happy, this was his teacher's mother after all. It wouldn't be good to go too far. Thank you, Auntie, for the reminder. I understand. If you understand, then leave. Mother Zhuo was also defeated by Qin Guang's pestering. I've roamed the community for decades and have never tasted defeat. Now I've met my match and met someone as thick-skinned as me. I can't accept this. Xiao Si and Zhuo Long have been together since they were young. We know Zhuo Long very well. He's talented and honest. The elders on both sides are also familiar with each other. They're a match made in heaven. Xiao Qin, you're Xiao Si's friend. You should help us persuade her on this matter. In today's world, life is so stressful. You can't be willful when getting married. Mother Zhuo continued. Qin Guang spat in his heart. Zhuo Long was willful my ass. Didn't you see how many glances he'd silently exchanged with that salesgirl? Were you all blind? Marriage is a lifelong thing. You should find someone you like. You can't be careless. Qin Guang seemed to be following Mother Zhuo's words, but his meaning was the complete opposite. Mother Zhuo's expression changed. This kid is really stubborn. I actually lost in a quarrel. Is a web novelist this good? Even if he's a flop author, he's still so eloquent? Looks like I can only use facts to make him back off. Right? Xiao Si said you know cars. Hurry up and give her some advice. Don't let Xiao Si suffer. This car, Zhuo Long, has to be under Xiao Si's name. As Mother Zhuo spoke, she pushed Qin Guang forward, intending to let him see the cruelest reality in the world. Let him understand that the furthest distance in the world is not that I love you but you don't love me, but that even if we love each other, I don't deserve you. Our Jing Si was just fooled by your flowery mouth. I won't let you have your way. Qin Guang didn't like to think about such trivial matters, but he had to help Zhuo Jingxi today. He had no choice. Even if he didn't like it, he had to do it. He instantly understood Mother Zhuo's plan. Fine, it's fine. With your attack power, you can't break through the defense of my Azeroth rampart, which is worth 170 million. Zhuo Long will be just as useless. Originally, he did not intend to give Zhuo Long any advice, but since Mother Zhuo insisted on pushing him forward, and coincidentally, Zhuo Jingxi also cast him a pleading look. Qin Guang went up to him with a smile. Seeing that he had finally arrived, Zhuo Long first chuckled at him. He thought to himself, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Can't stand my mother-in-law anymore? Do you think you can escape by running to me? Just wait for my fatal blow. Little Qin, come over and help take a look. Give me some advice. Zhuo Long turned back and said to Qin Guang with a smile. Qin Guang pursed his lips. I can give you advice, but don't call me Little Qin. I'm not familiar with you. Zhuo Long's heart hurt from this. His expression suddenly became ugly and ferocious. Zhuo Jingxi, who was beside him, saw that the situation was not good and quickly coughed. Zhuo Long forcibly suppressed the anger in his heart. I'll bear with you. Ha, Little Qin, you're quite fond of joking at such a young age. Zhuo Long gritted his teeth and said again. Qin Guang ignored him. It was obvious that he would ignore him if he called him Little Qin. On the other side, Zhuo Jingxi was already chatting with Qin Guang. Little Cici, what are you busy with recently? Qin Guang chuckled. When he called her Little Cici, Zhuo Jingxi felt goosebumps all over her body. When she thought about how Qin Guang was actually her student, the feeling of silliness was even more intense. But she only felt silliness, but she did not resist it at all. I'm graduating next year. I have to start preparing for my doctoral thesis now. The experimental design is almost done. I'll probably start preparing for the experiment in a few days. Zhuo Jingxi said with a smile. My professor is quite optimistic about my research direction. If I do it well and publish the thesis, I'll have a chance of getting a decent SCI impact factor. Zhuo Long felt like he was about to explode. I called you Cici, and you wanted to tear me apart. This B** starred called you Little Cici, and I'm about to die from disgust. But you're actually willing to do it. Zhuo Long felt like he could not take it anymore. He pretended to grab Zhuo Jingxi's hand and pulled her to his side. Then, he turned his head and pretended to point at the car. Jingxi, this is our wedding car after all. Why don't you come and take a look? But when she pulled him over and finished speaking, Zhuo Long squeezed hard. He felt that something was wrong. Why was this hand so much bigger and stronger than he imagined? Zhou Long turned his head and almost got a fright when he saw Chen Guang's big face right in front of him. Before Zhou Long could scream, Chen Guang suddenly withdrew his hand. *CK. Do people in the arts have to have such strong taste these days? Mr. Zhou, why are you holding my hand for no reason? You're suddenly like this. It's hard for me to do anything. Zhou Long was disgusted. When he reached over, it was clearly Zhuo Jingxi's hand that was there. How did he end up pulling this guy's hand? And now he was making a false accusation. The pretty saleswoman next to him looked at him strangely. On the other side, Zhuo Jingxi covered her mouth and almost laughed out loud. She had thought that he was naughty, and now it seemed that she was right. But she immediately adjusted her expression and put on a straight face. She said coldly, "Wedding car? This isn't a wedding car. This is your own car. When did I agree to get married? Don't spout nonsense." She might not have the courage to slap Zhou Long's face in the past, but with Chen Guang by her side, Zhuo Jingxi seemed to have borrowed the courage from this student of hers, despite the latter being useless. Zhou Long almost wanted to leave in a huff. There was no way to talk. Mother Zhuo could not stand it anymore. She gritted her teeth and pulled Zhuo Jingxi to the side. She made up a random excuse, saying that they were going to look at the car models that women liked. Mother Zhuo's plan was also very simple. She could not let Chen Guang and Zhuo Jingxi get together. Otherwise, with the two of them relying on each other, today's matter would definitely be completely ruined. It was better to pull Zhuo Jingxi away and let Zhou Long do his best. That way, this Chen brat would know to back off. When the mother and daughter were far away, Zhou Long's forced smile suddenly darkened. "Chin, you deliberately came here to cause trouble today, didn't you?" Chapter 353. Chen Guang curled his lips. "No, it was purely a coincidence. You asked Xiao Cici to help you look at the car. This one knows a bit about cars and we just happened to meet. Xiao Cici was thinking about the money in your pocket, so she asked me to help. What do you mean by this? You have a problem? You don't know what's good for you? Fine, then I'll turn around and leave without another word. So what if you're rich? You're trying to take advantage of me? You keep saying that you're Xiao Cici's fiancé, but from what I heard from her mouth, that's not the case at all. The one with the surname Zhou, your head is hot, it's no fun at all. You say you're still a person, so how can you be so despicable? She clearly doesn't like you, yet you're still trying to stick to her? If it weren't for uncle and auntie taking advantage of you, do you think Xiao Cici would even care about you?" Zhuo Long was a hoodlum, but Chen Guang was even more of a hoodlum, more ruffian, more scoundrel. Even 10 Zhuo Longs added together wouldn't be Chen Guang's match. "You bastard! How can you be like this?" Zhuo Long's hands were trembling, and he was on the verge of exploding. Chen Guang only looked at him with a fake smile, not saying a word. Chen Guang was wearing a short-sleeved shirt today. Intentionally or unintentionally, he flexed his biceps. That look in his eyes and posture was clearly saying, "Come, hurry up and do it, I'll wait for you." At this time, Chen Guang finally revealed his ferocious fangs of a veteran troublemaker. Father Zhuo, who had been standing to the side without saying a word, finally couldn't hold it in any longer. He was really afraid that if this continued, the two sides would start fighting. If Zhuo Long could win, he wouldn't even interrupt. But it was clear that Zhuo Long, who dabbled in art, wasn't his match. Fine, strictly speaking, this troublemaker Chen Guang was also dabbling in art, just a bit lower class. At this point, no matter how Chen Guang and Zhuo Jingxi tried to explain that they were just friends, he just liked to joke around. Father Zhuo and Mother Zhuo could tell that this Chen Guang definitely had feelings for their daughter. His daughter was definitely interested in this web novel writer. Perhaps her daughter had already guessed that Zhuo Long was going to lay his cards on the table today and had purposely arranged this show. She was waiting for this brat named Chen Guang to stir up trouble and ruin her plans. If it weren't for the fact that Father and Mother Zhuo had absolute confidence in Zhuo Jingxi's character and knew that she was more traditional, Mother Zhuo would have long since tested her and found out that Zhuo Jingxi was still a virgin. The two elders would have long since searched for a stick to beat Chen Guang with. Father Zhua had been holding back because he knew his wife was very strong. In the end, not only had his wife been defeated, but Zhou Long had also lost. He had to step up, or else today's good day would be completely ruined by this troublemaker. Alright. One of you is Xiao Xi's fiancé, and the other is her friend. Both of you stop talking. Look at the car. Father Zhua came forward and stood between the two of them, saying one sentence after another. Chen Guang chuckled. Uncle, you're right. I don't understand what he's doing. We were just talking nicely, but out of the blue, he suddenly called me Chen. Even a clay figurine has a temper. How strange. Why are people so uncultured nowadays? Facing Father Zhua, he still gave in to him. Although he didn't like the word fiancé from this old man's mouth, he still had to give him some face. Father Zhua had his back to Qin Guang and was desperately trying to signal Zhua Long with his eyes. Stop fooling around, he couldn't beat him in a verbal fight. Zhua Long forcibly suppressed his thoughts. He firmly believed that he hadn't shown his trump card yet. As long as Zhuo Jingxi knew that the car was going to be placed under her name, no normal woman would be able to resist such a temptation. Apart from that, he had already set his eyes on a mansion worth 2 million. As long as she nodded, he would put her name and his on the car. This was all money that this lousy writer could never earn in his entire life. Chen, how are you going to compete with me? As long as I can get her, I'll get back the face I lost today. Yes, it's my fault, Zhuo Long replied in a muffled voice. Zhou Long replied in a muffled voice as he continued, since Qin Guang is my friend, then he's my friend. I lost control of my emotions earlier. He didn't expect this guy to be so tolerant. Qin Guang was also shocked. You're so paranoid that you've turned into a demon. Teacher Zhua is already treating you like this, and you're still able to tolerate it? If it were me, I definitely wouldn't be able to tolerate it. You're definitely a pervert. A melon that's forcefully picked won't be sweet. Teacher Zhua has already expressed such a simple principle so clearly, so why can't you understand it? Besides, aren't you also not easy to deal with? Just based on the way you flirted with that salesgirl, she might even run into your bed tonight. The more Zhuo Long behaved like this, the more Chen Guang made up his mind to tear down this temple and ruin this marriage. I can't let the tragedy of ancient arranged marriages happen in modern times. I'm a loyal defender of the freedom of love. Both sides took a step back. Chen Guang wasn't in the mood to argue with Zhuo Long anymore. He turned around and left. He sat down with Zhuo Jingxi, who was bored to death after a quick stroll. Mother Zhuo could only glare fiercely at Chen Guang, then turned around to comfort Zhuo Long's wounded heart. You see, my family is indeed like this. Sometimes it's really painful for me to be born into this family. Zhuo Jingxi sipped her tea and sighed as she looked at her mother's back. At this time, Chen Guang turned around to comfort her. Don't say that. You're being paranoid. In fact, uncle and auntie are really doing this for your own good. After all, in the eyes of ordinary people, Zhuo Long is indeed a rich husband. He's young and rich. Although he's not as handsome as me, he's still handsome. Save it. I know him. He only wants to marry me because he thinks that I can make him proud. Also, he thinks that I'm soft. As long as he can use his parents to kidnap me, I won't be able to control him even if he wants to fool around outside in the future. Zhuo Jingxi saw through everything. By the way, are you interested in being my experimental assistant? My research project is mainly related to the degradation of organic phenolic compounds catalyzed by photocatalysts. Although it sounds grand, I've made the experimental plan very detailed. You can totally follow along and participate in the experimental process. You only have 1 year left before you graduate, right? After you graduate, whether you want to go to graduate school or continue working in the environmental protection industry, it'll be good for you to come into contact with experiments early. Zhuo Jingxi found a particularly high-sounding reason. Chen Guang was a little tempted. Zhuo Jingxi hadn't mentioned it, he wouldn't have realized it himself. Yes, he would graduate in June next year. Regardless of whether he was the owner of the heavenly Holy Grail or not, he had to be busy with something. He couldn't just hold a cup and stay at home all day, waiting for the world and the cup to come one by one. Inside was the world in the cup, outside was a shut-in's house. How could he live like that? Although he muddled along during his 3 years in university, skipping classes was king, Chen Guang really didn't fail many subjects. He was actually quite interested in environmental science courses. Listening to Zhuo Jingxi's words and thinking of her saintly appearance, Chen Guang couldn't help but feel a little tempted, but also a little lost. Teacher Zhuo's dream was to change the environment, control pollution, and contribute to all of humanity. It seemed very illusory, unreal, and even a little ridiculous. But she must have only told him that no matter how ridiculous a dream was, it was still a dream. What did he want to do? Keep farming the world in the cup, learn one skill after another from Lioli, and go out to show off when he had the chance. Keep building God statues? Then what do I want more? My life definitely can't be a shut-in guarding the heavenly Holy Grail. That kind of life is a little too boring, and it's even more unworthy of the cup in my hand. While caressing the heavenly Holy Grail, he wasn't in a hurry to reply to Zhuo Jingxi's invitation. Instead, he looked out the window and let his mind wander. What is my dream? I can't be a salted fish without dreams. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.